from Marshall University, here's your host, Ryan Epling.
Good evening and welcome into Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. I'm Ryan Epling, flying solo for now as we wait on James Collier and Coach Rick Marone to arrive. A little out of breath, guys. Been a nice little mad dash to the finish there. Definitely appreciate everyone joining us tonight on another Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Full night of games all across the Mountain State. Of course, we'll also recap some games that took place earlier in the week as well. There were some really big matchups, including one last night down at the Logan Fieldhouse between Spring Valley and Logan in girls basketball. We'll talk a lot more about that one later on this evening as well. But again, a full night of basketball, and again, flying solo for at least a little while tonight. And I definitely look forward to Coach Marone and James Collier being able to make it here this evening. Again, if you want to call in, join the program. Our phone number, 1-855-345-4709 here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Again, we're a week after Rivalry Friday, which was last week. That was an amazing week of basketball. We had some huge games there in terms of seeding implications for sectionals. We're still a few weeks away from sectional play, but those seedings mean a whole lot because if you get caught in a sectional semifinal with a terrific opponent, you can obviously end up in trouble because the top two teams make it out of sectionals to regional play, and that's how you get a chance to get to the state tournament. So definitely some games of importance there a week ago, not just because of the rivalry, but also some big games earlier this week. We'll talk some more about those. We'll also get you an update on the scoreboard coming up here in just a few moments. There are some games going on right now that are going right down to the wire. One of them that we're following right now is the Huntington Capital game. 65-62, Huntington's boys lead Capital with under a minute to play in that ball game, and that game should be wrapping up here in just a couple of moments. Just one of many excellent basketball games going on. Of course, tonight we have a full schedule of guests as always. Look forward to hearing from several people we've got lined up. One of the other big games tonight is Westside is at Bluefield in boys basketball down at the Brush Fork Armory. And looking forward to talking with Justin Koger, who's a senior guard for the Renegades and one of the best two-sport players, probably one of the better athletes in the state of West Virginia. He finished third in the Kennedy Award voting this year after not even playing football last year. Finished third in the Kennedy Award voting for best football player in West Virginia. So he had a big year. And again, we're going to recap some games from earlier this week as well. And there was a game that I'm sure Coach Marone, we'll talk with him more about it. We don't want to rub it in. Coach Marone is so generous to join us when he balancing his time as the head coach of the Tulsa Lady Rebels. But Wayne beat Tulsa in girls basketball earlier this week. That was the first time Wayne had won in Glen Hayes since 1993, and the first time that the Lady Pioneers have beaten the Rebels since 2001. So that was a big deal for Wayne and first-year coach Wade Williamson. We hope to hear from him here coming up in just a few moments from now. But again, scores are starting to come in. Again, many games are still in progress, some of them coming right down to the wire tonight in both boys and girls basketball action. And we still have several undefeated teams, and one of them is in trouble right now. So we'll talk about that right now. As a matter of fact, let's just go ahead and get a brief abbreviated edition right now of the basketballnight.com scoreboard. Again, all these scores available at basketballnight.com. Again, this will be just an abbreviated version for right now as we're still working on getting them coming in. In Class AAA, undefeated and third-ranked Parkersburg South is going to overtime right now with the Wheeling Park Patriots. Battle of the Patriots tied at 64 right now going into overtime. Final score tonight, Brooke defeats University 76-70, third win of the year for the Bruins, and University continues to struggle a little bit after the new year. Washington gets a big win over Hedgesville. That's an Eastern Panhandle rivalry. The Washington Patriots, who have struggled this year after losing so many players from last year's outstanding ball club, they beat Hedgesville tonight 49-40. Also a final score, Martinsburg beats Spring Mills 67-46. Nice win for the Bulldogs in the Eastern Panhandle tonight. Class AA scores, final battle of Logan County, at least the A battle in Logan County because those schools all do play each other, but Chapmanville Regional defeats Man tonight 61-55. Those games are always outstanding, and that another right fits right in with the rivalry. Class A, top-ranked team in West Virginia, the Magnolia Blue Eagles, with a 99-59 win tonight. They almost hit the century mark as they beat the Oak Glen Golden Bears in the Boggs Roundball Classic. Class A number 2 Wheeling Central is in a dogfight. The Maroon Knights are in overtime right now with Trinity Christian, 62 apiece, as they head to the extra session. Final score, it came right down to the wire, but the Bealsville, Ohio Blue Devils defeat the 100 Hornets tonight, 62-61. Lots of close ball games, as you can tell, going on across West Virginia tonight. In girls basketball, Bridgeport beats Lewis County 57-43, the final score. The Indians get the win in that one. And again, Huntington and Capital now. That was the game that I told you about just a moment ago. That game is going to overtime. So we've got at least 3 games in the state of West Virginia right now that are going to overtime. Huntington and Capital, the 4th-ranked Highlanders, the reigning state champions, the 7th-ranked Cougars, they are tied at 67. And once again, heading to overtime. That is your initial check of the basketballnight.com scoreboard. James Collier is going to be with us in studio momentarily, but he is with us by phone now. And James, we're obviously going to talk a lot about a game that you saw last night. We're going to wait till you get in before we delve into that one with the Logan Spring Valley girls game. What a turnaround that game was. But tonight, another good night of basketball.
Yeah, it's a good night of basketball, and definitely, Ryan, as I'm on the road headed into the station, obviously this is a new thing that we're going to have to get Fred Dameron on. We need a helicopter for the crew to get from some of these remote locations back in. But headed from the Wolves' Den tonight, the boys just locking up with Princeton, picking up a win, snapping a 3-game losing streak, 69-57. Good win for the Timberwolves. But last night, I've told so many people that I talked to about this game, I said for the first time in my broadcasting career that I watched a team switch baskets at the half and switch personalities at the same time. Logan settled for so many shots in the first half, really took it down low, worked it into Monica Mitchell, got her going. That opened up Shayna Gore outside, got good looks, wasn't settling for shots. On the other side, Spring Valley had to settle for so many shots. Maddie Morris was off the floor for much of the third quarter due to foul trouble. Never really was able to get going in the second half. Spring Valley had to try to find a way to do something without her. Couldn't find that inside presence, and we'll talk a lot about this one later on when we talk with Kevin Gertz. We'll also hear from Shayna Gore, but Sarah Kelly put on a shooting clinic in the first half. Shayna Gore put one on in the second.
That was a game that was a 12-point halftime lead for Spring. Again, we'll delve more into this one once you get in, but that went from a 12-point halftime lead for Spring Valley to a 22-point Logan win, and those types of swings are not common. Now, we've been talking about several other games going into overtime. Huntington and Capital boys right now in overtime. Ball game that Capital scored right at the end. Miguel Bays, a lay-in as time expired to tie that game at 67. That was after Anthony Meadows had given Huntington a lead with 8 seconds left. So those two teams locked up in a duel tonight as well. And Well, last week was Rivalry Friday. Tonight, right now, we've got 3 games in overtime.
Yeah, it may be overtime Friday. And this Capital team, I've had a chance to watch this Capital team once this year. Very scrappy bunch. They may not be the most disciplined team on the floor, but their athleticism takes over. Their speed is so explosive. And one of the things I watched this game, I was trying to follow along on Twitter in between the breaks for tonight's broadcast. Leading after the first, falls behind by 12 at halftime, and now seeing that this team is in overtime with Huntington. I mean, there's so many teams this year that are it's like a roller coaster ride, up and down. You never know what you're going to get from one night to the next. And if it continues to play out like this, Ryan, when we get to Charleston, March is going to be fun because you never know from 1 to 8 what you're going to have. We may have an 8 seed upset a 1 seed. It would not surprise me from some of the games that we've had so far this season.
We were so close a year ago to having that first ever 8-1 when Parkersburg Catholic basically lost a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter to Wheeling Central, and that game went to overtime, and Wheeling Central got the win and then went on to win the state championship, of course, in overtime. And it seems like when we started this show a year ago, everybody stepped up their play. I think the show should take a little bit of credit for that because we've had so many tight ball games. State tournament last year was a classic. Really, only St. Joe's girls were a true runaway. I mean, Westside's girls won AA by 10 a year ago, and Westside, of course, taking a lot different look this year. We'll talk about that much more later on in the program tonight as well. But other than that, I mean, all those games were classics.
Yeah, I was involved with the state tournament for the first time ever last year. It was my first West Virginia state tournament as a member of the media. And at the same time, I'll say I was taken back as a little bit as a member, as a fan as well. It was some great basketball first week with the girls and then back with the boys. And I was in the studio for that thrilling triple overtime game between Hurricane and Hedgesville that then led into the state championship game between Huntington and Hurricane. I mean, my goodness, you can't ask for better basketball for that. But like you said, I mean, we nearly had an 8-1 last year. I was there for that game. It was a 10-point lead, and it was the entire time. Wheeling Park just never felt like that it was out of control of the basketball game, even though it trailed by 10 in the fourth quarter. And you just slowly watched it chip away. And the next thing you know, it's 4, it's 2, it's Wheeling Park on top. And then that was when the wheels really fell off on that 8-1. But it's going to happen one day, just like in the NCAA tournament. A 16 is going to get a 1 someday. We've come so close over the last couple of years. Several times a 2 has fallen to the 15. But the way that basketball is really starting to kind of just even itself out, especially across all 3 classes. I was talking to one of my friends earlier today, and I said, the crazy thing is I would almost bet that right now one of the top 2 teams in the entire state, no matter classification, is that team out of AA, and that's the Polka Dot.
Yeah, they were impressive again today. We'll talk more about them tonight as well. We've got a long show. James, we're on till midnight, fastest 3 hours in radio. Take your time coming in. Be safe, and we'll see you here in studio in just a few minutes.
Well, we're on Fifth Avenue right now, coming out of the west end of Huntington. I'll be there in about 5, so have the red carpet rolled out of water at the door, and I'll see you when we get there.
All right, glad the driving service is working out tonight. Take care. That's James Collier. He'll be with us here in just a few moments. Right now, we've got to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we'll hear from Chad Richards. We'll talk about a game that took place earlier this week, Williamstown and Ravenswood. Great ball game there. And Wes McKinney, he was also at that Princeton Spring Valley game, just like James Collier was. We'll talk with him when basketball Friday night in West Virginia continues here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be. Basketball Friday night in West Virginia. Thanks for joining us. For scores online, all of them, visit basketballnight.com. There's lots of places that you can find Basketball Friday night in West Virginia. And we welcome Power 92 Radio tonight, 92.3 FM WYRCLP in Spencer. You can listen to us on 106.7 FM WHFI Linside, 101.9 FM WVOW Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZLP in Edmond, Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAPLP Clay, 88.1 FM WMUL Huntington, 91.9 FM WPHP in Wheeling. Online, you can find our video at basketballnight.com and rsnsports.com. If you're a cable subscriber, we're on Comcast, Channel 25, Armstrong Cable Digital, Channel 204. Online audio, you can listen at basketballnight.com. Just click on Listen Live. Lots of ways to interact with the show, too. We want you to call us tonight, 1-855-345-4709, 855-345-4709. If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Join us on Twitter, @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Basketball Friday Night.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State, you're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, James Collier, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
9:16 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling with you as we await the arrival of James Collier and Coach Rick Marone. Coach Marone having to hold practice. He is still the coach, after all, the Tulsa Lady Rebels, so he's having to take care of those duties tonight as well. And James had the call of Princeton Spring Valley. We'll get Wes McKinney on that here in just a moment. But first, back on Tuesday, a big rivalry game in the LKC, the Little Canal Conference, where Williamstown beat Ravenswood 77-61. Chad Richards was there. He joins us now. And Chad, that was a nice win for Williamstown, because wins over Ravenswood in basketball don't come too often in the LKC.
Yeah, definitely. It was a great game. Looking at the score, but at the first half, Williamstown was leading 43-31, but that's no indication of how well these two teams played. They were within 10 points most of the game. It was a well-fought match. Good win for Williamstown.
A good win for Williamstown, and to be able to pick up that win again. The LKC over the years has generally been one that Ravenswood has been kind of the cream of the crop, but now this Williamstown team is 8-1, and in a season where Class A appears to be, at the very least, sort of open, this is a year where Williamstown's boys have a chance to maybe sneak into Charleston and do some damage.
Yeah, absolutely. Two people I would watch closely are two top scorers from that last game. Let's see here. Number 32, Gage Wicks, had 30 points, as well as number 44, Josh Palmer, had 26 points. But most of those, 14 points of those, were from free throws.
So Williamstown again. Go ahead.
Wicks made most of his points from 2-pointers and, I believe, 1 3.
Well, Williamstown's only loss this year came to Huntington St. Joe back on the 27th of December. Now, Ravenswood, on the other hand, with Coach Mick Price, they're off to still a good start. They are 7-2 this year, and that, though, was a little bit of a humbling loss. Not necessarily that they lost to Williamstown, but the Williamstown was able to win that game by 16.
Yeah, definitely. It was a close match, and it's definitely a big rivalry, so it definitely means something for Williamstown to be winning that. But talking about strategy here, I think their strategy in between the first half and the second half, something changed there in between halftime. First half, they were playing really aggressively, as we expect from Williamstown. They go man-to-man defense. But then in the second half, they kind of backed down and let Ravenswood take most of the fouls, racking up 10 fouls in the second half. giving most of their players 4 personal fouls and almost fouling them out. One of them was Hetherington. He almost fouled out.
So big win,
Which, of
though.
course, led-
So it's a big win for Williamstown. Chad, we always appreciate you calling, and you're always welcome to call us in on Basketball Friday night, any game you go to during the week.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, that's Chad Richards. And going now to Wes McKinney. He was at the Wolves Den tonight as Spring Valley's boys break a 3-game losing streak. They beat Princeton tonight. Their long trip back home for the Tigers tonight, Wes.
Yeah, Ron, I'll tell you what, it's probably going to seem just a little bit longer. Princeton down 4 points on a couple occasions there in the fourth quarter, early stages, 5-6 minutes left to go. And Jacob Kilgore, Spring Valley's go-to man, didn't really hurt Princeton until the fourth quarter, but when it mattered, Jacob Kilgore came through for Spring Valley. 2 big back-to-back threes for Kilgore. He finished with 15, but I'll tell you what, I was very impressed with Greg Herbert tonight. Finished with a game-high 29 points, and really Princeton had no answer for him. And something that kind of left me scratching my head tonight, Ryan, was Princeton was playing a kind of a 2-3, 3-2 hybrid zone, and they were syncing up so much, and it just left, and Herbert would just sneak behind the zone and just get so many easy layups, and it just left me kind of wondering why Princeton didn't go man at some point, or, you know, try to at least have an answer for Herbert. On the Princeton side, Aaron Ferguson, 4 straight double-double, 26 and 11. Jacob Willington getting his second straight start tonight, had 8.7 rebounds, and I was very impressed with his hustle effort tonight for being only about 6 foot and not being very, very bulky. I thought he played a whale of a game for the Tigers.
A great ball game, though, for Spring Valley. And again, Princeton coming up short tonight, but James Collier has joined us now. James was at that game as well. James, you and Wes both saw that ball game tonight. I guess you concur with what Wes had to say there.
Yeah, Greg Herbert, they had the fire department on standby outside, and it turned into a one-man show until one Aaron Ferguson got involved. And, Wes, I was so impressed with the big man down low of how soft he was around the basket, but Coach Corey Maynard told me before the game started, he said this kid can step out 15 foot and knock down the jumper, and so many times he looks so silky smooth. When he would come out to that elbow and knock down that jumper, that makes trying to guard a 6'8" guy that can step out that far that much more difficult, and that's where Spring Valley's really struggled here tonight.
Yeah, you know, I said even during the pregame show, you know, I looked at Spring Valley's lineup, and Riley Locklear goes 6'5", and then Kilgore goes 6'4", but he's not big, so I thought that Aaron Ferguson would have his way tonight, and I was kind of wondering why they didn't get him involved a little bit more, because he did not score. I mean, well, I guess he scored, I think it was Princeton's first 8 points, but there for the first 3 or 4 minutes, he just really wasn't involved in the offense. Of course, no Princeton player was really involved in the offense in the early onset there, but Aaron Ferguson's a guy that if he just gets a little bit more mentally tough, he can play at a mid-major, a Division I.
Yeah, I was one of the things, too, I was really impressed with. Not a very deep bench for Princeton, but when Coach Gilliard's team was called up on, they really tried to interject as much as they could to give those 5 starters at least a little bit of a break. But the young man up top, Colton Fix, took care of the basketball, really didn't try to force the issue, but didn't turn it over either. And that's about all you can ask for a guy that's going to run your point, is give your team an opportunity to do something with the basketball every trip down the floor. And I thought tonight he gave his team that opportunity. Odell did a really good job out on the wing as well.
Yeah, in fact, it's been 2 straight games now that Ashton's really been the best dribble penetrator. Ashton Odell, that is. He's been the best dribble penetrator, and he's seeing the floor really well. And back to your point about Colton, it seems like when Colton plays well and takes care of the ball, that's when Princeton is at their best. Like Wednesday night against Hurricane, Fix was never really involved with the ball game. He was bothered by the Hurricane pressure out front. He was just never really involved with the game. But as Princeton was coming back there, it was really the guard play of Princeton that really got them back in that game tonight, and guys within 4 before Jacob Kilgore hit those 2 big threes.
Princeton falls to 2-6 as Spring Valley gets the win tonight by a final score for Spring Valley.
69-57.
69-57, yeah, there we go. 69-57 the final in that one. And Wes, always a pleasure to talk with you, and look forward to talking to you again upcoming. Let's see, Princeton this week. They have a game, a couple of home games. You don't have to get out on I-64 for a
That's right, guys. But we do have to go to Cabell Midland on Martin Luther King Day. But a much welcome sight to see Ralph Ball Court at Princeton High School on Tuesday and Thursday next week. And hopefully Princeton, the schedule lightens up for them. Of course, winless Cabell Midland on Monday. I believe that St. Albans is still winless at 0-7 or 0-8 Tuesday. And then a George Washington team that's not clearly as good as they were last year. So hopefully, worst case scenario, a 2-1 week for Princeton next week.
Wes McKinney, always a pleasure.
All right, thanks, guys. Take care.
All right, thanks. Have a safe trip back. That's Wes McKinney. He was at the Princeton Spring Valley game. Long trip back into Mercer County tonight for the Tigers after Spring Valley gets the win. Staying with the phones right now, tomorrow's a big day in Williamson. And when there's a big day in Mingo County, we can always count on Wolfpack Willie to give us a call and give us the rundown. He joins us now on the program. Wolfpack Willie, glad to have you here on Basketball Friday Night.
I'm glad to be here. I'm going to talk about our boys' game first tonight.
Go right ahead.
We beat St. Joe 64-45 tonight.
Nice win for Tug Valley over St. Joe.
Yes.
And St. Joe, last year, that was a team that was one of the top teams in the state that didn't make the state tournament. Tug Valley.
Oh, yes.
Is playing very well right now, though. That's
Oh,
back-to-back weeks the Panthers have gotten big wins.
Yes.
You got the Hatfield-McCoy shootout tomorrow in Williamson at the
Yes.
Fieldhouse, too, correct?
Yes. Yes.
You have the schedule for that for us, Willie?
Yes. I'm getting ready to give it to you.
All righty.
11:30 a.m. Phelps, Kentucky versus Hannah boys game. And 1:00 p.m. Pike Central, Kentucky versus Man boys game. 2:30 p.m. Belfry, Kentucky versus Mingo Central girls game. 4:00 p.m. East Ridge versus Tulsa boys game. 5:30 p.m. Wesley Christian, Kentucky versus South Charleston. 7 p.m. Belfry, Kentucky versus Mingo Central boys game. And 8:30 p.m. Sean Clark, Kentucky versus Valley Fayette boys game. And it's $8 to get in tomorrow at the store.
Well, that's a day full of basketball and at the historic Williamson Fieldhouse. Wolfpack Willie, always a pleasure.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for joining us tonight. And, guys, we have to take a break here before we do. Coach Rick Marone has made it back from practice. Good to see you, Coach.
Yeah, good to be here, Ryan. And it was like a homing device. You know, I turned it on the radio, and the car – thankfully, no deputy sheriffs were out in southern Wayne County tonight. I think I could have had some issues.
I talked to my good buddy Greg Farley, and we took care of you. Made sure you had a clear route in.
I appreciate it. The Basketball Friday Night Limousine was very nice, had refreshments for me. I know James was in the other
yeah,
we have a fleet, of course.
Well, I had a fleet. I had the tuck and roll treatment around Hal Greer and 4th. That was because my wife was at the helm, and she just kind of opened the door and kicked me, handed me a Gatorade as I sprinted up the front sidewalk near Old Main and into the building. Yeah, it's great to be back in the studio. A little helter-skelter, nothing better than live television and radio, as my good friend Ryan here said, but always a great time to get back in studio and talk some basketball.
We're going to talk some more basketball right after the break. We'll get a scoreboard update. We'll also talk with Kyle Moon. We want to talk about the Hampshire Trojans, who are quietly having a very good season. Due to geography, they're one of those schools that they don't get a lot of coverage just because it's hard to get into Romney and in that area. So we definitely want to talk with Kyle Moon about them. We'll also talk with Brian Johnson. He had the Ripley game tonight on WCEF. WCEF, yes.
Yeah,
Sometimes my
98.3.
C's and G's, I have to look at him a little closer there. WCEF, we'll definitely look forward to talking with him as well. As basketball Friday night in West Virginia rolls on here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Well, this week the number is 1203. 1,203 Twitter followers. So we've surpassed 1,200. Now our next goal is 1,300. Thank you for following us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup. At @hoops_roundup. Shout out to some folks tweeting us tonight. RH Sports Desk, Examiner Sports, Austin Lowe, Coach Andre, LCS Panther, Tucker County G Unit, Grant Traylor, Matthew Peasley, Eli, David Gorby, Dave Wilson, Bill Camp, Coach Eddie, Brad Leonard, Mike Matheson, WVOW Radio, Brian Woodson, HHSN, Sean Dempsey, John Sissy Barker, and LHS Cougar Crazies. Thanks for tweeting us. Join us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup. At @hoops_roundup. Make sure you send us your scores and be part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. Congratulations goes out last week to Jadarian Wade. Jadarian was selected as the Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. If you've got someone to nominate, go on basketballnight.com and you can click on Standout Athlete of the Week. Each week we consider nominees based on leadership, performance on the court, academic performance, involvement in the community, and volunteer work. Every Friday night, we select a Standout Athlete of the Week, and we'll do it again tonight. Go to basketballnight.com/standout athlete. Just fill out the online form with your nomination. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to basketball night in West Virginia with James Collier, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
9:32 on this basketball Friday night in West Virginia. Off to a running start here on this Friday night.
To say the least.
Yes, absolutely. And always glad to have you along. We're here till midnight here on Basketball Night in West Virginia. You can check it out, the scoreboard at all times, basketballnight.com. You can also tweet us at @hoops_roundup. You can call us 1-855-345-4709. We're going to hear from Kyle Moon of WVSB in just a moment to talk about the Hampshire Trojans. We'll also talk with Brian Johnson, WCEF, and Ripley, and Joe Linville, who was at the Scott Wayne game tonight. We'll talk with all those gentlemen in just a moment. But first, James, take a deep breath. It's time for a check of the basketballnight.com scoreboard.
Looking for scores, look no more. Go to basketballnight.com/scoreboard for all of your scores from around the Mountain State. Let's dive right into the boys. AAA. Number 1 South Charleston, leading by only 2 at the half, pulls away after a 31-point third quarter. Outscores South Charleston 67-50. Number 1 South Charleston eases to the victory. We'll hear from Brian Johnson from Ripley in just a moment. In overtime, our first upset. Wheeling Park knocks off number 3 Parkersburg South 73-71. Huntington trailed by 5 at the end of one quarter, went to the locker room leading by 12, needed overtime to get past number 7 Capital 78-73. Final in overtime on top of Highlander Mountain. It was Preston, number 8, defeating number 8 out of Single A Tucker County 68-53. The Brook Bruins over the University Hawks 76-70. Washington with the upset over Hedgesville 49-40. Sure we'll hear a lot about that from our good friend Rick Keselowski later on tonight. Hurricane with a win over Riverside 75-70. Union Local out of Ohio. The Jets streak past John Marshall 86-34. Lincoln County over the Big Blacks of Point Pleasant 50-42. Martinsburg, the Bulldogs take a bite out of the Cardinals of Spring Hill 67-46. Spring Valley victorious over Princeton 69-53. or 57, excuse me, as Spring Valley snaps a 3-game skid. In Class AA, number 1 Polka, no trouble with number 5 Mingo Central, 70-47 your final. Number 3 West Side over the Bluefield Beavers, 71-57. Chapmanville by 5 over the Man Hillbillies as Kaiser gets past Frankfort, 61-57. Riverview defeats Mount View, 77-64. And the Blue Dons of Madonna over the Red Riders of Weir, 64-36. In Class Single A, Magnolia misses the century mark by only 1 as they defeat Oak Glen by 40, 99-59. Number 2 Wheeling Central and Trinity Christian. Regulation and 2 overtime periods, not enough. They're headed to triple overtime, knotted at 82. Number 7 Bishop Donahue victorious over Payton City, 62-51. Fayetteville over Midland Trail, 50-39. Billsville, Ohio, a 1-point win over the 100 Hornets, 62-61. One final score on the boys, 78-58 win for Valley Wetzel over Tyler Consolidated. On the girls' side in Class AAA, Woodrow Wilson flies past Cabell Midland, 56-45 your final. Bridgeport takes a little bit less than a minute to knock off Lewis County, 57-43 final there. And that's all we have for now. That's a check of your basketballnight.com scoreboard.
And we will definitely keep an eye out on those games. Again, you got a triple overtime game in progress. Fun games all around. But a team that we want to talk about right now hails from Hampshire County, the Hampshire Trojans, who are currently 5-2 on the season. And Hampshire, again, an area where it's sometimes hard to get a lot of information. Again, the geography of West Virginia has its own tricks and trickiness to it. Kyle Moon, WVSB, has been so polite to hang in there with us tonight. Kyle, that's a Hampshire team that maybe not a lot of people know about, but is off to a great start this season.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't get a lot of credit, and they don't get a lot of publicity because, like you said, we're kind of up in the middle of nowhere, sort of. But definitely a really good team. They're led by point guard Travis Clower, very talented individual. I actually, in 8th grade, I was on the team with him, and I've seen up close and personal. He's very, very good. Great ball handling, great shooting, and really the team as a whole just very solid. The only 2 losses they have right now are actually from out-of-state teams. They lost to one team in Maryland last night. They lost to Allegheny, and then they lost to Hanley High School, which is out of Winchester, Virginia. But as far as in-state games, they've won all of them, so very solid team.
I've been to Romney. Is the Pioneer Restaurant still open in Romney?
I am not actually 100% sure of that.
Then it probably isn't. Okay. It was a long time ago.
If I had to guess, I'd say no, because, I mean, I've only lived here 5 years, and I don't think I've ever heard of it. So I'm going to say that's a no.
All right. More than likely, it's gone out of business. It was a good little diner. But nonetheless, this Hampshire team has lost, as you mentioned, to Allegheny out of Maryland, and its other loss came to Hanley, Virginia. But in-state wins over Hedgesville, Berkeley Springs, Petersburg. This is a ball club that, I think is starting to get into the bulk of its in-state schedule, at least in terms of Musselman and Frankfort coming up this week.
Yeah, they are. They got 2 different big games coming up this week. I am hoping to actually attend both of them and have an update for you next week, but I am expecting them to actually do very well. They tend to do really good under pressure. They're really solid, really all around, offense and defense. I think they could really at least play with about any team that played them right now. I don't think it's really a question that they could at least challenge anyone right now. Very, very solid ball club.
It's a good team, and it's one we'll keep up with. Kyle Moon, WVSB. Thank you for joining us, and we definitely look forward to hearing from you. We'll make this a Friday night routine. What do you say?
All right. Sounds good to me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And going right along now to Brian Johnson, WCEF. Ripley tonight had a good start against South Charleston, but not a good finish as the Black Eagles pull away and pick up the win, 67-50. And Brian, another step in the learning process for this Ripley ball club.
Yeah, it sure was, guys. They played three quarters with South Charleston well, really to a standoff and a tie ball game. If you remove the third period out of there, the Vikings outscored 21-4. And at that point, Brandon Napper just took over, and he's a fantastic player. The Vikings had no answer for his quickness and his ability to knock down that mid-range jump shot. And turnovers again doomed the Vikings, giving up a lot of easy baskets in transition. And, a lot of that credit has to go to South Charleston, and there's a reason that they're the number one team in the state, and they showed that tonight in the third period. But our kids have to come away from that looking at three quarters of that ball game, playing toe-to-toe with the best team in the state.
Well, that's an excellent ball club, though. And, Ripley picked up been a season where 6-4 coming into tonight at least. And we talked about them earlier with their new coach and their kind of a new style of play. And would you give them like a mid-season report card on them? Can you give us a check on how you think they've maybe progressed to this point?
Yeah, honestly, I asked Coach Faulkner that exact question a couple of days ago, and he gave them a B+. Felt really good about what they were doing right now and the process that they were in. He wants us to get a little better on the perimeter, especially taking care of the basketball. Our post play's been pretty solid this year with the two big guys in Lehue and Johnson. We've gotten some good production off the bench from a couple of players, a couple of young guys. And, it's just a learning process for these kids. And you can see the light switch come on from time to time, and they look like what you kind of expect Coach Faulkner wants them to look like. And then there are times when they take a step back and fall back into some old bad habits. But I think when you look at this team, an 8-win basketball team last year, you would probably have to give them maybe a B- grade to this point in the season.
Brian Ripley's been on the road over the last week and a half. Gets back home with Spring Valley this coming Tuesday, then heads right back on the road for a game against Ravenswood, then comes back home and starts to get to play at home towards the latter part of the year. How much does that help a team that's young like this, that has those road games early in the season and then gets to try to finish out that final run to get ready for tournament play, playing in the friendly confines of home?
Well, I think it's going to be very beneficial for them. We've had a great home court advantage this year. Our student section has been termed the sixth man, the Vikings sixth man, and they have been just a great asset and a great home court advantage for our kids. You can see them really feed off of that energy in the gym. And like you said, some of the experiences that they had on the road here early in the season and to this point in the year, they've grown up, and I think they're learning how to win, and they're still struggling with that a little bit, but definitely being back at home and shooting at baskets that you're used to shooting at and an environment that you're used to being in is definitely a big plus for these kids. And we just expect to see them continue to get better and better, and I think you will see them. Obviously, we play in my opinion, probably the toughest section in the state of West Virginia, and we're talking about it driving home here, and it's quite possible we could be the last seed in that section as well as we're playing right now. So, facing off with these teams down the stretch at home will be a good measuring stick for our kids, just to know exactly where they are as they head toward postseason play.
So next week, Ripley and Spring Valley will do battle. Also, Hatchet game in Ravenswood.
Yeah,
it's a fun one there next Friday night.
That's always a dogfight for sure, going over to Ravenswood. And the Vikings have actually won 7 in a row there. They're not particularly at the pit in Ravenswood, but they've won 7 in a row in the series. And I think they would like nothing more than to sweep next week and cap that off with a victory over cross-county rival.
Brian Johnson, WCEF, in Ripley, always a pleasure.
Thanks, guys.
All right, you have a safe trip home, and go right back to the phone lines and get one more caller in here before our break. Joe Linville was at the Scott Wayne game. The Skyhawks run away from the Pioneers tonight, 90-49. Big win for the Skyhawks, Joe.
Yeah, when it started out, it looked like it was going to be a close one. Actually, the Pioneers went up 2-0. Scott bounced back with a quick 3. Then it was tied up at 7-7 there early in the first, and then the Skyhawks just kind of turned up the wick and didn't look back. For the Pioneers, it was led by Grant Ferguson. He was the only player for the Pioneers in double figures. He had 24. Kobe Wickline added on 8. And, of course, the rest of them following behind that. For the Skyhawks, they were led by their big guy, Logan Webb. He's a senior. He easily had a double-double tonight, had 19 points. And I didn't get a final count on the rebounds, but he had a pile of them tonight. Also for Scott, they were led by Eric May, starting forward senior. He had 14, and Anthony Sigmund, also another starter, had 15. Coming off the bench for Scott was Andrew Day. He's a sophomore, dropped in 13 points. But it was all Scott tonight. They were looking for a big win. They needed it after 3 straight losses over Poca, Mingo Central, and Westside.
Well, I know that Mingo Central game was a difficult loss. Poca and Westside might be 2 of the top teams in AA, and I think Scott may have played, to this point, the toughest schedule in AA. You've already got 2 games with Westside in, a game with Wyoming East. You play Poca. That you know, and that's not even talking about adding in the Big Ten Cardinal Conference Challenge.
Right. They only lost to Westside by 3 in that opening game of the season. But then last week, I mean, Westside just put them on at 93-70. I know Coach Cabell was not happy with that game at all, and then of course be able to turn things around tonight. Scott looked like the Scott of the early season. They hustled a lot. They executed the ball, moved the ball well up and down the floor. I tell you what, Wayne puts up a very physical game. They've got some very tough athletes, and I'm sure it was a heartbreaking loss for them tonight. But Scott just had their number tonight.
Well, Scott gets the win, and the Skyhawks will be back in action with Herbert Hoover next week on the road, and then a road game next Friday night at Lincoln County. So Scott right back at it next week.
Yeah, and keep plugging along here through the end of February. And like you said, I tell you what, the Poca team is the team to beat, and we just might as well just go ahead and give them the trophy and let everybody else play for second.
I think there'll be some people who would highly disagree with that.
I'm sure there is. I had to throw that one out there, especially the way they handled Mingo Central tonight.
Yeah, that's just a really good team, and they're a fun team to watch if you're just a fan of basketball. Scott is a fun team to watch if you're just a fan of basketball. They do it right down there in Madison. And Joe Linville, always a pleasure.
All right. You guys have a good night.
All right, you too. Right now we've got to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we'll hear from Kevin Gertz. He's the girls' coach at Logan. They had a very nice win last night over Spring Valley in a game that was about as the tale of 2 halves. That is definitely the case in that one. We'll talk much more about that and other games tonight as basketball Friday night in West Virginia continues here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Join us online at basketballnight.com and vote in this week's poll. Last week, 50% of you agreed that competition in Class AA boys this season is better than Class AAA. This week's question: Ohio allows games to be played on Sundays. Should the WVSSAC allow makeup games to be played on Sunday afternoons? Vote yes or no. Go to basketballnight.com and vote in the poll. You'll see the poll on the right-hand side of the page. You've got until 11:45 tonight to vote, and we'll share the results at the end of the show. Basketball Friday night in West Virginia. West Virginia's high school basketball voice. Make sure you check out the Daily Hoops Roundups. Be part of the Basketball Friday night in West Virginia family. Join us on Twitter at @Hoops_Roundup. @Hoops_Roundup. The Daily Hoops Roundup. It's part of basketballnight.com. Every day we recap the day's scores on all the teams in West Virginia. And we want you to become part of the score reporting crew. Follow us on Twitter @Hoops_Roundup. @Hoops_Roundup. Get your scores anytime by visiting basketballnight.com/scoreboard, or just go to our landing page and select Scoreboard. Become part of the team. Report your team scores. basketballnight.com. For scores online, all of them, visit basketballnight.com. If you're a Comcast subscriber, you can now hear our audio. It's on Channel 25. Armstrong Cable, we're on Digital 204.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Marone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
It's 9:50 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Rick Marone, James Collier. The set is now full once again. Glad to have you guys with us. And, guys, we'll get with Coach Gertz from Logan here in just a moment. But before we do that, Coach Marone, a lot of close games tonight. That's kind of been the theme of the night. A lot of games that were going into overtime or have been in overtime. And coming off of Rivalry Friday, we've got kind of Overtime Friday, as James alluded to.
Yeah, we try and keep the listeners happy and keep them up to date on what each week brings. And I tell you what, Ryan, you really start to see teams start to emerge. And we mentioned the rivalry games over the past week, and I know you recapped some of those, and we're going to get into some more of those. But these overtime games are really tournament atmosphere-type games, and I think a coach would tell you that that's going to help them as they move forward closer to tournament time, because the stakes get much higher. But if you can put your team in that environment earlier on in the season, it can really pay dividends later on.
Last week, for instance, and one of the toughest girls sections in the state of West Virginia is the section that is in the Huntington area in AAA. A lot of it is they are very good teams, but they're also very competitive among each other. You've got Logan, you've got Spring Valley, Huntington. Earlier in the week, Spring Valley picks up a big win over Huntington. You start to think maybe the Lady Wolves are kind of playing back to the caliber that they were expected to play in winning that tight game against Huntington. And I apologize, they were actually only up by 2 at halftime last night at Logan, but Logan in the second half turned it on down in the field house at Willie Acres Arena and came away with a big 71-49 win. Kevin Gertz is the head coach of the Logan Wildcats girls team. And, Coach, second half, what changed in that ball game last night?
Well, we quit shooting threes all night long. I know that. I think I looked at our shot chart, and we had fired up 14, 15 threes in the first half. And that's what I talked about the whole time practicing, preparing for Spring Valley. We have very good shooters. There's no doubt about that. But if we don't attack the basket, we're not going to beat anybody. I looked at the second half shot chart. We were 1 for 4 from 3 and 12 of 15 in the paint in the second half. And because we attacked so much, we set a season high free throw attempts. And we just decided, hey, we might listen to the old coach and try to see what, if it works, what he's wanting us to do for a while.
Coach Gertz, James Collier, I got the experience of making my first trip ever to the Logan Fieldhouse, and before I made the trip down, I was told of 2 different routes that you could get there, and unfortunately, I was taken on the third. I'm still car sick from coming back from last night. We talked earlier today, and we're getting ready to roll a highlight clip from the game. And to lead it up to where that point was, Spring Valley out to a 7-point lead. First quarter getting ready to expire. About 4 seconds left to go in the ball game. I'll let the highlight clip take us to the where we're headed from this, because you and I both, we talked today and said this was one of the changing moments in that contest last night.
3.9 seconds remaining. Spry inbounds all the way to the far sideline. Inbound to Gore. Gore, 3 at the buzzer. Got it. Shayna Gore's first points of the contest, and it's 16-12 at the end of one quarter. 60-second break on the way. We're back to the Logan Fieldhouse right after this, right here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
The backside of that starts a 9-1 run over the next 2 minutes, including Lexi Hines, 3 3-pointers, 2 of those coming on consecutive trips down the floor. You go from down 7 to up 5, cut it down to a 2-point Spring Valley lead going into the locker room, and then extend it out to 9 in the third quarter, 24 at one point in the fourth quarter. And you even said that was the play that really sparked your girls to get them going into that contest.
Well, the first half I think that was a huge play. We were really struggling to score. And again, just not taking great shots. I think in the first half, and especially in the first quarter, Shayna attacked a lot. And, we just couldn't buy anything. She missed 4 or 5, maybe her first 4, 5, 6 shots, and they're all rattling in and out. And they were all good shots. But, once she went in and things weren't falling, she gets frustrated, and then our whole team starts settling. When she's attacking, we've got a great inside game anyway. We've got shooters, all over the floor, and she finds people all the time. We've waited all season for Lexi Hines to get healthy enough to start playing. She was our second, maybe our third leading scorer last year as a freshman, to flat out shoot it. And when she sees one go down, watch out, because there's 3 or 4 more coming. Tyler Klein's the same way. Tyler, I think, made a 3 last night. But, she had one game this year where she made 6 out of 7, I think, against Boyd County. And, we have shooters, and I don't care how many threes we shoot, as long as we're going inside and we're passing the thing out. A lot of times we just want to pass it around the arc and fire it up when we've got a 6'2" dominant center, in my opinion, that we don't use. And we used her a lot more last night. She only had 10 points, but, she had a boatload of rebounds, and she was an absolute monster in the second half, and Monica Mitchell. And, somebody asked me, and I think it was you, James, while I was out there going to do my interview for WVOW. He said, man, that was one heck of a halftime speech. And I said, I don't think anybody wants to know what went on at halftime.
Yeah, that was me.
Got their attention a little bit.
Well, one of the things that we...
Rick, can you send me one down?
Well, Coach, one of the things we talked about Monica was the fact of she didn't have a very good first half. And you come out of the locker room, she gets going, and at the same time, that gets Shayna going. And the difference was the outcome of the game, and it was because of, you talked about you shot your season-high free throw attempts. You had 31 in the contest. You shot 29 free throws in the second half alone. It was like Shayna Gore lived on the free throw line in the fourth quarter.
Well, and you talked about Shayna's 3 being the key, and it was the first half key, because we were on the verge of getting blown out. Sarah's not missing anything. And when she does miss, we box her out about 3.5 seconds after the play, and she goes and twice she shot, a total of 6 free throws on 2 fouls on 3 attempts, and I think made them all. But to me, the biggest key in that whole game was Summer Collins early on in the third quarter. We were a little helter-skelter, no doubt about it, and she just, she beat her man, I think it was 3 straight times, maybe 4 out of 5 trips, and got fouls. And we were in the bonus before halfway point of the third quarter, and we shot double bonus almost the rest of the game. And we're averaging this year, I think we're shooting almost 79% from the line. And, we were 23, either 22 of 29 or 23 of 30 or something like that in the second half. We were only 2 for 2 in the first half. And, and then Shayna realized, hey, this is how we got to play. We've got to attack. And she had 18 of her 33 in the fourth quarter, and that's ungodly.
Coach Gertz, the Wildcats 10-2, and playing a little bit of a break this week. And you play Man on the 26th, it looks like.
Well, we
Do you have a makeup game in there?
canceled the Man game.
Okay, the Man game's canceled.
We've canceled the Man game, and we're in the talks with Capital, hoping that we can go play at third place because they came here earlier in the year. But I haven't got a hold of Coach Witten in a week, so I'm not sure if that's on or not. So anybody out there that's wants a home game, give me a call. We'll come and play. I want to play 22 games this year. And I've been talking to my old buddy Jamie GQ LeMaster, trying to get a game with him, and he's full all the time. So, Jamie, if somebody drops you, call me, brother, and I'll be there.
Coach, I got one final question for you before we let you go.
Yes,
I've never seen such a terrifying picture of you than what I saw in the Logan Fieldhouse last night. A 4 foot by 4 foot angry Kevin Gertz head in the student section last night. I had nightmares all night long.
We got Lexi Hines' mom is a good friend of mine, and she got talking with Justin Turner, our PA announcer, last year. I think they'd all gone to a WVU game, and they had fat heads of I'm drawing a blank now. I'm so tired. The WVU's coach, and she said, I want something of Kevin. Well, we have a mommy, Michelle Roberts, that takes pictures at every one of our games. And we're playing St. Joe at Chapmanville last year. And we all know St. Joe's the best team in the state. It wasn't even close last year. But when we're playing them, I said, girls, please, if we go out and try to shoot 3-pointers, they're going to run us out of the gym. And I said, I want the ball inside the Monica every trip. I said, I'm not saying she's got to shoot it, but I want it touching her hand. Shayna, I want you attacking the basket. I don't want any threes. Well, as normal happens when I tell Shayna this is what I want, Shayna decided she's going to shoot threes, and she is 0 for 7 in the first quarter. And that picture was taken, me screaming at her, which I tend to do a little bit too much. So that's been they made 2 of them last year, one of that and then one in my thinking mode that I always am, where I got my big fat bottom lip sticking out. And they made about 200 of the small fat heads like that, put them on popsicle sticks. And usually that's what kids are holding up. But Justin went ahead and got a new one, big one made, and the kids have fun with it. We put it up every home game. They're fighting to see who gets to carry it, and it's passed all around our student section, which did a great job last night. I think they got a little too close to the floor, and we had a boatload of support, and it's a lot of fun. A road team or a home team, when you have that kind of support, or even if the other team has that kind of support, and you're going into their place to play, and it makes you play even harder.
Coach Kevin Gertz of the Logan Wildcats, we always appreciate you taking time to talk with us, and look forward to hearing from you again later on this season. That's a great ball club you have, and obviously, in my opinion, the best complete sectional in AAA as well.
Well, the last 2 years going into the sectional, we've had 4 of the top 10 teams in the final rankings. I agree with you. I think it's the toughest section in the state, and last year we had 2 top 5 or 2 top 6 teams get knocked out, and we still had 2 great representatives in the state tournament in Huntington and Cabell Midland. And, you come out of our section, you've got an awful good shot to make it to the state tournament, and a pretty good shot of representing the state and representing our section real well. So I'm real proud of our section.
Absolutely. Coach Gertz, again, always a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, that's Logan Girls Coach Kevin Gertz. We've got to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we'll update the basketballnight.com scoreboard, and we'll go back to the phone lines as well. That's when Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
A big thank you to all of our affiliates, and there's many ways that you can connect with Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. You can listen in on 106.7 FM WHFI at Linside, 101.9 FM WVOW Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZ-LP, Edmond, Beckley. 101.7 FM WYAP-LP, Clay. 88.1 FM WMUL, Huntington. 91.9 FM WPHP, Wheeling. Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM WYRC-LP in Spencer, and we welcome them tonight as our newest affiliate. WSPW-LP, 97.9 FM in Parkersburg also is with us tonight. You can check us out online. Our video is at basketballnight.com. Also on rsnsports.com. Online audio is available at basketballnight.com. Just click Listen Live. If you're a cable subscriber, we're on Armstrong Cable Digital Channel 204 and Comcast Channel 25 in the Huntington area. And we do have audio tonight. We want to thank all the engineers downstairs for making that happen. Big shout out to Marcus Constantino, Braxton Crisp, and Mike Stanley. Join us online at basketballnight.com. Vote in this week's poll. Make your vote count. Basketballnight.com. It's over on the right-hand side, the basketballnight.com web poll.
This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, heard statewide on great radio stations. Visit basketballnight.com to find the station nearest you. Get all the scores all the time at basketballnight.com or on Twitter @hoops_roundup. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Rick Marone, Rudy Raines, and Ryan Epling.
10:06 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Coach Rick Marone, James Collier with you. We'll hear from Eric Little of V96.9 in just a moment. He had a thriller tonight between the Parkersburg South Patriots and the Wheeling Park Patriots. We look forward to hearing from him in just a few moments. And we've got a couple of other callers lined up that we'll hear from in a moment as well. But first, Coach Marone has a check of the basketballnight.com scoreboard.
Looking for scores? Look no more. BasketballNight.com answers all your questions related to high school basketball, both boys and girls. We'll look at the boys' side first. In Class AAA, South Charleston gets a 67-50 win over Ripley. A big 21-4 run in the third quarter seals it for the Black Eagles. Parkersburg South, number 3 in AAA, falls in overtime to Wheeling Park, 73-71. Elijah Bell had a game-tying 3 at the end of regulation, and also the game winner in overtime. That's the first loss for Parkersburg South. Capital falls in overtime as well. Number 4 Huntington High survives 78-73 over the Cougars. Preston 68. Tucker County stepping up a couple of classes. They fall 68-53 to the Preston Knights. Brooks 76. University 70. Washington 49. Hedgesville 40. Riverside 70, Hurricane 75. The Redskins get a big win there at home. Union Local out of Ohio, 86-34 winners over John Marshall. Lincoln County Panthers get another win, 50-42. The Panthers quietly putting together a pretty good season for them this year after some hard times the last couple of years. Martinsburg 67-46 winner over the Spring Mills Cardinals. Spring Valley Timberwolves 69-57 winners over Princeton. Ferguson 26 and Herbert 29 in that contest. Class AA, the Polka Dots keep on keeping on, 70-47 over number 5 Mingo Central, and Polka a force to be reckoned with for sure in Class AA. And West Side, the Renegades, a big win, 71-57 at Bluefield. Scott 90-49 winners over Wayne. Scott ranked number 7 this week in the AP poll. Pikeview and Richland's the Blue Tornadoes doing battle. Don't have a final yet on that. We'll get that for you shortly. Chapmanville gets a big win, 61-55 over the Man Hillbillies. Frankfort 57, Kaiser 61. The Golden Tornadoes a 4-point victory at home. Riverview 77, Mount View 64. Moorfield, the Yellow Jackets put a stinger into Petersburg. They win 58-54 over the Vikings. 76-58, Wyoming East gets a win over Summers County. Madonna 64. Weir, the Red Riders 64-36. Madonna the victor in that one. In Class A, Magnolia 99, Oak Glen 59. That game was at the Boggs Round Ball Classic tonight. Wheeling Central goes to 3 overtimes to take down Trinity Christian. 99-90, Wheeling Central gets the victory. Charleston Catholic 56, Greenbrier West 37. Bishop Donahue 62-51 winners over Payton City. Fayetteville, the Pirates make Midland Trail walk the plank. It's 50-39, Fayetteville with the victory. Bealsville, Ohio, the Blue Devils 62, the 100 Hornets 61, a 1-point loss for the Hornets. St. Mary's 66, Work County 59. Frontier Local, the Cougars 73, South Harrison 39. Valley Wetzel 78, Tyler Consolidated 58. In boys basketball, turning the page to the ladies' side. In girls basketball, scores starting to come in. Here at basketballnight.com in Class AAA, Woodrow Wilson gets a win over Cabell Midland, 56-45. The Grafton Bearcats, 47-33 winners over Elkins. The Bridgeport Indians, 57-43 winner over Lewis County. A big win for the Lady Indians earlier this week against North Marion. We'll talk about that a little later in the broadcast. Frankfort, 77-39 winner over Berkeley Springs. Lincoln 70, Liberty Harrison, the Mountaineers 20, a 50-point win for Lincoln. And one score in Class A, Meadow Bridge, the Wildcats 52, Liberty Raleigh 32. That's your look at the basketballnight.com scoreboard update.
Thank you very much, Coach. One of the games of the night was an overtime thriller tonight on the south side of Parkersburg, where the Wheeling Park Patriots hand Parkersburg South their first loss. Eric Little, V96.9, was there. Eric, blood pressure calmed down now from that thrilling ball game?
Oh, a little bit. How about both Wheeling schools using bonus basketball and getting wins tonight? With Central and Park going, Central in 3 overtimes. Park went just this one. But, you know, what really was thrilling about this game is early on, I think I made the remark on there mid-second quarter, as both teams were around the mid-20s, that I really thought the first team to 70 was going to win this ball game. And I wasn't wrong. But it's not the way that I thought it would get to the 70s, because the defense really stepped up for both sides in the third quarter, and Parkersburg South built up a 13-point lead at one time and led by as many as 6 in the final couple minutes of the game. But Wheeling Park was led by, I think as you guys have mentioned, Elijah Bell with a 3 to tie it. But what's most impressive about him, he had 19 of his 23 points in the second half. He got into some foul trouble in the first half and had to spend a large portion of that half on the bench. But the big 3 to tie it at the end of regulation, and then 6 points off his back in overtime. Wheeling Park won despite no bench scoring. They got 23 from Bell and then 25 from their leading scorer, Phil Bledsoe. But you talk about a team that needed a win. Wheeling Park at 5-4 had lost 4 of the last 5 games after a 4-0 start. And they're playing a Parkersburg South team that was 8-0, but until Wednesday they hadn't played in a week and a half. And I'm not saying that Parkersburg South was rusty, but I don't know that their legs were where they usually should have been at this point of the season. Wheeling Park just came on and dug deep in a game they really needed to win and found some gumption and the wherewithal to pull through.
Well, Eric, I know it was an emotional type of game even before the game started there tonight in Parkersburg. And I know Wheeling Park took part in showing support as well for the Anna's Army cause.
Yeah, first of all, Anna Gordon became the first person in the history of my broadcast, first female to win the MVP award in a boys' game. And I thought, why the heck not? I gave my post-game MVP award to Anna Gordon because, in my opinion, she is the MVP. 3 years ago when she was diagnosed with Friedreich's ataxia, and if you don't follow this young lady on Twitter, it's at Anna's Army. This young lady will inspire you. She's so sweet, so kind. And she battles, as anybody does with a long-term chronic disease. You have good days and you have bad days, but when you see her, you can't help but have a smile on your face because she does a great job to rally and to fight and to lead the cause. And as I've said a couple times on the radio today, when you're in a situation like she is, you don't have to step up and be an advocate for that cause. Nobody asks you to do that, but she took it upon herself at a young age to do that and to lead the charge, and she's been leading Anna's Army for a long time. But what's also inspirational is the support she receives from her fellow students. There's a lot of love and support for her. She said at the end of her speech, she gave a pregame speech prior to the national anthem, that she knows we'll find a cure for Friedreich's ataxia. And when she did that, the place exploded. Loudest ovation of the night. She got a standing ovation. But what's inspirational is to see the community support, the support of her peers, because her peers absolutely get behind her. They were chanting "Cure FA" as she was walking off the court. But to see Wheeling Park react the way they did, they took the court and warmed up in Parkersburg South purple Friedrich Ataxia shirts. It's not every coach that would send their team out there with the logo of another school on their shirt, but Michael Jebbia and his Wheeling Park Patriots program, first class all the way. You got to hand it to them. It was really a beautiful night to raise awareness and raise money for Friedrich Ataxia. The 50-50 pot went to Friedrich Ataxia, and then the winner of the 50-50 actually donated that back. So a lot of money raised for the cause, and a lot of awareness for this disease.
Definitely puts everything in perspective a little bit. We all get to have a little bit of fun on Friday nights with basketball, and sometimes it can kind of be a way to drive to a something more important as well, and definitely that was the case tonight.
Basketball certainly diversion. As as Mike Fallon was saying after the game, he came on the radio broadcast and said, this is a game that young lady's fighting for life. So definitely nice to bring a rosy moment to her life despite the loss for Parkersburg South. But you're right, it really does put things into perspective.
Eric Little, always a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Glad to be on. Thank you for having me.
All right, that's Eric Little, V96.9. Right now, we've got to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we'll have this week's Standout Athlete of the Week, and a little bit later on, our resident referee, Bo Anderson, if he doesn't run out of minutes on his cell phone plan. We might have to pick up on that. I don't know. We'll talk about that in just a minute. When Basketball Friday Night continues in 2 minutes here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
We now stand at 1203. That's our number of Twitter followers, and we want it to go to 1,300. We want you to follow us on Twitter. Follow us at @hoops_roundup. At @hoops_roundup. Send in your scores, give us a tweet, and become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. A shout out to some of the people tweeting us tonight: Amy Kaiser, Paula, Craig Dutton, WHS Basketball, Whitney Justice, HS Sports Center, West Virginia, JV, Wheeling Park Basketball, Kristen Mullins, Shayna, Mel Stevens, Madison, RH Sports Desk, Mountain State Prep Hoops, Scott Canada, Steve Blake, Jill Linville, Tucker Coach, Ivan Fox, Keith Morehouse, and Peyton Michaels. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, at @hoops_roundup. If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be on Friday night. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. High school basketball action in West Virginia is heating up as the teams focus on a trip to the state championship in Charleston. Stay up to date with your local team and its progress all season long with Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia for 3 hours every Friday night from 9 to midnight. Listen online or on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State. And we thank all of you for sending us your scores. There's a lot of ways that you can connect with us, and we want you to become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Marone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
10:18 on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Last night, actually it was earlier this week, excuse me. Not last night. It was earlier this week that Williamstown's boys beat Ravenswood 77-61. That game was on Tuesday. A nice win for the Williamstown Yellow Jackets. And joining us now is our standout athlete of the week, Gage Wicks of Williamstown. And Gage, first off, congratulations on being our Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia athlete of the week.
Thank you.
Gage, James Collier, before we go into the interview, I want to go through your nomination. It reads as follows. Gage is a senior and attends Williamstown High School in Williamstown, West Virginia. He's currently carrying a 4.0 average. He plays as a power forward, and in 2013-14 had 83 field goals with an average of over 16 and a half points per game. Pulled down 116 rebounds, 22 assists, 9 blocks, and 15 steals. In the first game this season, he's averaging over 18 points a game with 58 rebounds, 14 assists, 12 blocks, and 20 steals. Scored 26 points, 7 rebounds in a game over Parkersburg Catholic. That was back on January the 9th and was named the Toyota Player of the Night. Gage volunteers his time helping young kids learn basketball at the local YMCA. He has a great attitude and a great outlook on life and will love to pursue basketball in college. He also plays basketball in rec leagues during the summer and fall and is an outstanding individual that encourages his peers and teammates to always try your hardest and to be the best at whatever he can be. Gage hopes to continue learning and improving in basketball while earning a degree in physical therapy. I would feel that he would be a great candidate for your standout student athlete of the week. And Gage, everybody here at basketballnight.com, we agree. Congratulations. And, that's as a senior in high school, mighty nice resume you have going for yourself there, getting ready to head off to college.
Thank you.
Let's talk about basketball, and especially as it talked there, your volunteer work that you like to do. Tell me about what you like to do and the experience that you like to give back to young kids from the stuff that you've been taught all the way through and taking you up to your senior year. What is it that's so fulfilling about getting to work with the kids at the YMCA?
Something most fulfilling would be just seeing the smile on their faces and being able to teach them stuff that they'll carry on and use in bigger events, bigger games and such in previous years and stuff like that. So, and I don't really know what to say. I'm pretty nervous.
See, Gage, what you have to understand is that when you're successful, sometimes people are going to want to talk to you on live radio or television.
Exactly,
and so get used, just get used to it. It's not a bad thing, and don't worry about it. If you weren't nervous, then we'd have to really worry about you a little bit more. You're probably more nervous now than what you are ever on the basketball court. Would that be accurate?
Oh yeah, that'd be very accurate.
All right. So just tell me about doing these things in the community. And we've talked with several people in the Parkersburg area about a lot of the things that go on there and how the high school athletes in Parkersburg. Now, again, Williamstown's just up the road from Parkersburg, and a small community as well. But how the high school is so important to the community as a whole. I'm talking football, basketball, and just the school in general.
We're a huge sports sports town. If you come watch football, everybody's in the stands. There's not one person in their house. Everybody's on the football field, and it's just the same way as basketball. Playing our rival teams such as Catholic and St. Mary's, there's definitely no one in their house once we're playing at home or playing away because everybody just wants to come watch. It's very exciting.
And what's it like to grow up in that situation? Because I know that a lot of people, sometimes in the bigger schools, they lose that community feel. And Williamstown is one of those small communities that, again, is really all about its high school. And just to tell me about growing up there, how that has been an impact on you.
I've been in Williamstown since I've been in elementary school, and it hasn't really changed. We're all really close. If you would say Apple, someone else across town would know you said Apple because that's how close we are. It's really exciting and stuff like that.
Go ahead.
I really don't know what to say. I'm kind of nervous.
All right. Hey, that's all right. Gage, this basketball season, though, off to a fantastic start as well. Your team playing
Oh,
well.
yeah.
You got a big win over Ravenswood earlier this week, and always good to win those LKC games.
Oh, it definitely is. It puts us in better position for Night of Champions and going up to state. Hopefully we make it to state. We should. We're a pretty good team this year.
8-1 team, and Gage Wicks, our standout athlete of the week from Williamstown. Coach Marone, you have a question?
Yeah, Gage, this is Coach Marone. Thanks for coming on the show. Congratulations. Coach Sorrow, Scott Sorrow, the head coach there at Williamstown. Of course, his dad, Fred, has been a longtime coach there with the girls program. And I know that you all have had strong programs in boys and girls, and it's just unique that a father and son combination coach those teams. And how does that dynamic play out? I know that you all are probably big supporters of the Lady Jackets as well as they are of you.
I mean, they've been around for a long time, and they're always trying to help us out any way they can. So,
Well, Gage Wicks, we again congratulate you on being our standout athlete of the week. Well deserved, and wish you the best of luck with your season moving forward.
hopefully I get to come back on and do better this time.
No, you were just fine. You were just fine. Maybe we can have you back sometime around the state tournament. We can talk about a game on semifinal Friday. I think that sounds like a good idea. What do you think?
Hopefully.
All right, that's Gage Wicks, our Sound Athlete of the Week this week from Williamstown High School. A big congratulations goes out to him. And right now, he's only had to wait for 34 minutes. So, you know, sometimes the wait time is longer than others. Tonight, he's ready to go. He's our resident referee, Bo Anderson. Bo, welcome to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Well, you know, I appreciate it. And, 35 minutes isn't too bad. I've got a couple of questions. Number one, I want to know if Rick there is wearing that referee shirt tonight. and number two, I understand that all three of you guys were running a little late, and there's 3 technicals involved for delay of the show.
Let me first answer your second question. I'll turn the question over with the striped shirts here to Coach Marone in a moment. But first, the show started right on time. That's all that matters. When the red light came on, we started the show. Now, Coach Marone. So when the horn sounded, we were ready, Coach.
Tell you what, Bo, the shirt is not on, but depending on how this segment goes, when we come back from the next break, the shirt may be on, and we'll see how you perform tonight. I mean, you know, like we said, we cut down your wait time. You ought to be ready to go. James has got some big-time issues for you to deal with tonight, so if you come out with flying colors, the stripes may be on one of the co-hosts tonight.
Well, you know, the crazy thing is this guy comes on set and he sits here, and the next week he comes back out and he's calling all 3 of us out like he owns the place. I mean, we knew that we were going to have to put a garage door in to get him out of the studio, but man, this is a little absurd. But Bo, I already gave you a little of a preview of this week's question, but let's go back to a game that happened earlier this week. The situation was play was going on the court. A substitution had been sent to the scores table, had already put their intentions of going to be checking into the basketball game. After that had occurred, a foul was issued on a player on the court that then disqualified that player from the basketball game. The coach then tried to enter in a new player in place of the player that was disqualified, and the official would not allow it. The official said that the player that was at the scores table had to enter at that point. Now, either way, both players were going to end up on the court because it was a 2-shot foul, and one player had to enter at the beginning. The one player should have come on the court after the first free throw. Hindsight 2020, though, the game was held up for nearly 3.5 minutes while the official decided to argue with the head coach of one of the teams over the substitutions, and then finally said the heck with it and brought both players on the court before the first free throw was attempted. What in the world was going on, and what should have happened in this situation?
Well, it's definitely not something where you toss a coin. There's a simple rule to this. The rule being that anytime you have a player who has fouled out, any substitute who's at the scorer's table at that time, whether it's going to be 2-shot foul, 3 fouls for a 3 shots, whatever, anybody can come into the game at that time up until the player who is coming in for the person that fouled out. So if anybody wants, they want to send other players up there before that substitute who's coming in for the player that fouled out, they can do so. And, the coach has got 20 seconds to get his substitute in, and anybody that's at the table at that time or before that 20 seconds is up can come in the game without any issues at all. So it really shouldn't have been a long discussion on that. It should have been a very simple task, but and I definitely would not have spent 3.5 minutes on it.
Well, and the thing that ended up happening is that the opposing coach, he was not opposed to the lengthy conversation between the official and the other coach, because his team was amidst a big run to close out the ball game, and this was essentially a free timeout after some helter-skelter basketball over about 1:30 that gave his team an opportunity to really get a breath and then go back out and try to finish out business.
Well, that's why that they changed that rule. It is not a timeout, so that is why they changed that rule to 20 seconds to keep coaches from getting their teams over and being able to make out a play and something. It's a 20-second interval to just get your sub in the game. And on part of that, another issue that I've seen a lot of clock keepers are not getting this right. And I've had to talk to them. 20 seconds, the horn should hit 5 seconds into that 20-second interval for that substitute should be heading to the table. So whenever we say, okay, give us 20 seconds, in 5 seconds into that horn hits, which means they've got 15 seconds left to get a sub in. Now, after that, if the horn blows again and the sub's not getting there, then we have a technical foul that starts to the coach for failure to replace a disqualified player in the 20-second interval. We hope we never get to that, but that should be the scenario. And like I said, anybody that was at the table before that sub comes in for the player who fouls out can be beckoned into the game without any penalties whatsoever.
Coach Marone, have you ever had a situation come up like that about making a sub and having an issue with the official not wanting to let the sub into the game at a point that it should have been?
Well, I'll tell you, we actually discussed it on last year's show, a variation of this, and it was actually a player that was disqualified because of 5 fouls. One official was aware of it. The other one was not. He initiated a free throw. So you have a player who has fouled out of a game that has not been removed. There's a person at the table, an official, trying to get a sub in. They go ahead and shoot the free throw, which comes off the rim. You've got live action with a player that shouldn't be out there. So, of course, when they restored order, it was a correctable error, and they made the change and went ahead and counted everything that happened. So basically, a guy got to play beyond his 5th foul.
2 things on that. Yes, they could play beyond the 5th foul, but that is actually not a correctable error situation. If there is a mistake, that's an official's mistake. And let's say we've got one official over there trying to get the player who's got 5 fouls out and go ahead and shoot a foul shot and they make it. That free throw counts because correctable errors, there are 5 correctable errors. 4 of them are involving free throws. That is shooting a free throw when you shouldn't be, you're not shooting free throws and you should be, the wrong basket, and the wrong player. And the only one that doesn't involve free throws is the last one, which is erroneously counting or canceling a goal. Anything else is not correctable. There are mistakes. Bookkeeping mistakes can be corrected at any time during the game, but as far as free throws from that standpoint goes, there's only 5 correctable errors, and there's a lot of people that get that messed up and think everything's correctable when it's not. And that correctable error situation happens on free throws. You have a should be and you're not. You have a live ball, clock started, dead ball. And that's when you have to make your correction on free throws. If you're supposed to be and you're not, or if you should be or you weren't and you do, or if you got the wrong player or you're at the wrong basket. So those are your 5 correctable errors, and those are the only errors that can be corrected. Now, mistakes, again, bookkeeping mistakes can be corrected at any time during the game. And, it's just you got to know that rule, and that correctable error rule is sometimes a tough rule because you could play several minutes without a dead ball. I mean, you could have somebody delaying, and then 4 or 5 minutes goes off the clock because there's delay, and then all of a sudden somebody finally, it dawns on them, and the coach is saying, we should have shot 1-on-1 down there. And then the other part of that is, if there was no change of possession, then you would go back and put them on the line just like it was regular. If there's any kind of changes, all those points count, and everything counts. And if you get the arrow corrected in time, then you go back to the point of interruption.
All right, that's our resident referee, Bo Anderson. Always a pleasure. We've got to take a break. When we come back, we'll have a scoreboard update, and we'll also hear from Bill Laird. He had the Fayetteville Midland Trail game on WQAZ. We'll hear from Bill Laird as we come back here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Join us online at basketballnight.com and vote in this week's poll. Last week, 50% of you agreed that competition in Class AA boys this season is better than Class AAA. This week's question, Ohio allows games to be played on Sundays. Should the WVSSAC allow makeup games to be played on Sunday afternoons? Vote yes or no. Go to basketballnight.com and vote in the poll. You'll see the poll on the right-hand side of the page. You've got until 11:45 tonight to vote, and we'll share the results at the end of the show. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, West Virginia's high school basketball voice. We're now at 12:03 in Twitter followers, and we want you to follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Send in your scores, give us a tweet, and become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. There's lots of ways for you to connect with us and get scores to us. You can call us toll-free 1-855-345-4709, 855-345-4709. Send your scores in by Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. You can send us a text. The text number is 304-249-4924, 304-249-4924. You can also send us an email, scores@basketballnight.com, scores@basketballnight.com. Check us out, basketballnight.com, and you can find out all the ways you can interact with the show. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State, you're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, James Collier, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
10:38 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Coach Rick Marone, and James Collier here with you. We'll get a full scoreboard in just a moment, but one game tonight in Class A. Fayetteville beating Midland Trail 50-39. Bill Laird was there with WQAZ. I know it's a busy time of year for you, Bill, and a nice win tonight for Fayetteville over a pesky Midland Trail ball club.
Absolutely. Anytime these two teams get together, certainly anything can happen, but Fayetteville got off to a quick start, jumping to a 29 lead at the end of the first quarter and held that margin. Two teams played pretty even for the balance of the game, but Fayetteville walked away with the win. Ricky Meadows scored 13 points in that effort, and Will Fenton chipped in 12 for the Pirates. For Midland Trail, Stephen Bloom had 12 and Tristan Miner 10. But again, Fayetteville was able to even their mark with a 4-4 record on the season, and Midland Trail dropped to 5-4 on the season. But these two teams matched up real well, and it was a good competitive contest at the Fayette County Memorial Building.
Fayetteville will have a game coming up with Meadow Bridge on the 20th, and then the 22nd, a game with Greater Beckley Christian, and then next Friday, a game with Montcalm. Busy week coming up for Fayetteville.
Absolutely, and again, Pirates looking to get on maybe a little bit of a mid-season roll. It's kind of been up and down for them, but they had Meadow Bridge at Meadow Bridge and went down 54-47 a couple of weeks ago. So I would imagine Coach Matt Boyd's looking forward to hosting the Meadow Bridge Wildcats at home in Fayetteville.
Should be a good ball game. Bill Laird, Fayetteville, Midland Trail tonight with WQAC. Always a pleasure talking with you.
You bet. Have a good weekend.
All right, you too. Right now, before we go to T.G. Griffith with WYAP, we'll get all updated on Clay County here in just a moment. But first, we're going to turn it over to Coach Rick Marone, and he'll have a check of our basketballnight.com scoreboard.
Looking for scores? Look no more. BasketballNight.com. Saddle up in the sidecar. We're heading through the sports, starting with the girls tonight in high school basketball all across the Mountain State. In Class AAA, Greenbrier East 59, Roanoke Catholic out of Virginia 39. Woodrow Wilson 56-45 winners over Cabell Midland. Also in Class AAA, Bridgeport knocks off AAA Lewis County 57-43. And Wheeling Park, the Patriots 65-35 winners over Oak Glen. Moving to Class AA, Frankfort 77, Berkeley Springs 39. Lincoln, the Cougars put up 70 on Liberty Harrison. 70-20 is the victory for Lincoln. In Single A, Pendleton County 50, Pocahontas County 31. Pocahontas ranked number 5 in Single A. That's an upset in that one. Meadow Bridge 52-32 winners over Liberty Raleigh. On the boys' side tonight at our basketballnight.com scoreboard, Class AAA, South Charleston puts a 21-4 run on Ripley in the third quarter, and they win 67-50. The Black Eagles with a big win over the Vikings. Parkersburg South falls in overtime, 73-71 to Wheeling Park. Elijah Bell, game-tying 3 in regulation. Game winner in overtime, the first loss for Parkersburg South in that one. Capital falls as well. Huntington High 78-73 winners over the Cougars in overtime. Preston County 68-53 winners over Tucker County. Jefferson 56, Musselman 41. The Brook Bruins 76-70 winners over University. The George Washington Patriots a 30-point win over St. Albans 54-24 in that one. Hedgesville falls 49-40 to Washington. Hurricane 75, Riverside 70. Union Local out of Ohio, the Jets 86-34 winners over John Marshall. The Monarchs fall big to the Jets. Lincoln County 50-42 winners over Point Pleasant. Martinsburg 67, Spring Mills 46. Parkersburg 76, Nitro 68. Spring Valley a big 69-57 win over Princeton. Herbert 29 and Ferguson 26 in that one. Shady Springs 65-51 winners over Independence. Class AA Polka continues to roll 70-47. The number 1 Dots knock off the number 5 Mingo Central Miners. Bluefield falls to number 3 Westside. Westside 71, Bluefield 57. Scott rolls up 90 on Wayne, 90-49 the final for the number 7 Skyhawks. Pikeview eclipses the century mark. Not a lot of defense, but just enough. A 107-90 win over the Richlands Blue Tornadoes. Check your defense at the door. Going to be a fun night, and Pikeview gets a big win there. A total of 197 points, if my math serves me correctly. Chapmanville 61-55 winners over Man. Kaiser, the Tornadoes 61-57 winners over Frankfort. Riverview gets a 77-64 winner over Mount View. Moorfield, the Yellow Jackets 58, Petersburg 54. Wyoming East Warriors 76, Summers County 58. Madonna, the Blue Dawn 64, Weir 36. In Class A in boys basketball, Magnolia 99-59 over Oak Glen. That game's at the Boggs Round Ball Classic. And Chase Harler pumps in 46 tonight for Wheeling Central as the Knights get a 99-90 win over Trinity Christian. Charleston Catholic 56, Greenbrier West 37. Bishop Donahue 62, Peyton City 51. Valley Fayette 68-53 winners over Buffalo. Fayetteville 50-39 over Midland Trail. Bealsville, Ohio 62-61 winners over the 100 Hornets. Tug Valley a 64-45 win over St. Joe. 59-66 Work County falls to St. Mary's. 73-39 Frontier, Ohio gets a big win over South Harris. And our final score 78-58 Valley Wetzel over Tyler Consolidated. That's your basketballnight.com scoreboard update.
Thank you very much, Coach Marone. We've got to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we'll have T.G. Griffith of WYAP to talk Clay County basketball, both boys and girls, and the girls continue their good start to this season as we roll on here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. This is part of the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Thanks for joining us, and you are listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Congratulations tonight to our standout athlete of the week, Gage Wicks from the Williamstown Yellow Jackets. Gage was selected as the Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week this week. Do you have somebody remarkable on your team? Did you have an athlete make an outstanding play? Nominate them for Basketball Friday Night's Standout Athlete of the Week. Each week, we consider nominees based on leadership, performance on the court, and academic performance, involvement in the community, and volunteer work. Every Friday night, we select a Standout Athlete of the Week. Go to basketballnight.com/standout athlete and just fill out the online form with your nomination. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, your only place to be on Friday night for West Virginia high school basketball. Join us on Twitter. We want you to follow us at @hoops_roundup. @hoops_roundup. Send in your scores, give us a tweet, and become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. Big shout out to some of the people tweeting us with scores tonight. Greg Christ, Rob Metzger, Peyton Michaels, SCHS Athletes, Lincoln Athletes, GWHS Athletics, WHS Basketball, GHS Lady Cats, WOAY Sports, Mel Stevens, and Spencer Leatherman. Call us tonight, toll free, 855-345-4709, 855-345-4709. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State, you're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, James Collier, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
10:46 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. I'm Ryan Epling. James Collier, Rick Marone with me tonight as well. Clay County's boys are 4-6 on the season. Clay County's girls are 9-2 on the season. And the guy who has a finger on the pulse of all things basketball in Clay County is T.G. Griffith of the WYAP. And TG, thanks for joining us tonight. And Clay County's girls continue to play well, and the boys still kind of trying to find their way.
Yeah, they're struggling. They lost 2 this week. This is one of the best starts they've had in a long time, but they're on a 3-game losing streak right now, and they lost to Webster County last night by 35 points, a team that they beat by 16 here at home a couple of weeks ago. So they're trying to find their way back to the winning side of things, and Coach Gibson doing his best, and the boys are playing their hearts out. They just a couple of bad offensive nights, just couldn't throw the ball in the ocean, and that's where they are. As you mentioned, our ladies, they went 2-0 this week and are 9-2, number 8 in the AP rankings this week. Big win tonight over South Harrison, and by the way, Mary Ramsey says send her regards to Rick. She was able to play all of her players tonight. She dressed 18 kids, and they all got to play. So They're 6-0 in the LKC, which is good. And now big doings tomorrow at Sissonville. Both the boys varsity and girls varsity and JV teams start about 1 o'clock, and they'll be playing all afternoon and into the evening. The games start about 1 o'clock. I think the boys are at 3:30. The varsity boys and the varsity girls are at 5:30, and that's a very important game because Lady Panthers facing number 6 AA, Sissonville, in Region 4 Section 1 showdown. This will be their only regular season meeting between those two teams. Clay County 2-0 in that against sectional opponents, and Sissonville 3-0 against sectional opponents. So that's big doings tomorrow over at Sissonville.
That should be a day full of good rivalry-type basketball, too.
Oh, yeah. So, and you can get in for a good price and spend the whole afternoon.
I think anybody should take advantage of that if they can. T.G. Griffith, always a pleasure to talk with you.
Okay, thanks, guys.
All right.
Talk to you later.
All right, you take care. It's T.G. Griffith, WYAP. One of the freshmen in the state of West Virginia who comes from a good bloodline athletically is at Chapmanville Regional, Drew Williamson. He is the son of Andy Paul Williamson, who played at Harts and then later at Marshall. His older brother, Paul Herbert Williamson, had an outstanding high school career at Logan High School. His sister, Andi Williamson, was an All-American softball pitcher at Marshall, who was also the National Pro Fast Pitch Rookie of the Year and pitches in Japan as well. And Drew joins us now. And, Drew, that's a lot to live up to.
Yeah, I know, it is. Just got to keep working.
Good start for Chapmanville Regional's boys basketball team to the year, and a win tonight for your ball club. And just tell me about just kind of getting your feet under you a little bit and getting used to playing at the varsity level.
It's hard just coming in, especially middle school and stuff, but I mean, you just gotta keep working, and the game it really speeds up. So you just gotta get faster and stuff. Just play more physical. That's about it.
Drew, James Collier, thanks for joining us here on the program tonight. We're going to take you back and let you listen, as well as all the listeners and viewers at home, hear the final call from Chris Kidd at WVOW in the victory that Chapmanville knocked off Mingo Central. As you listen to this, I want you to kind of play it through your head, and then on the other side of the highlight, I want you to tell me what was going through your mind when you saw that ball come off the rim right there at the end of the contest.
Allen Hatfield on the floor, looking like he's poised to call time here maybe. Down to 10 seconds, over to Dalton. Dalton drives in on the right side, gets it back out front, over to Butcher, down to 5 seconds. Put shot at the horn, no good. Put back by Witt, no good. Big ball by Williamson, got it! Chapmanville wins it, 64-62. Drew Williamson at the horn, puts it back in as every Tiger on the floor chases him down, and the Tigers in their 3-game losing streak and put to bed Mingo Central's 6-game winning streak.
Now, Drew, were you celebrating or trying to run for your life?
I was trying to run for my life because I knew them guys was all going to tackle me.
Take me back through that final 10 seconds there, because, I mean, it, as he said, it was 10 seconds. That was a 30-some second clip of everything that kind of goes along with that. But you had an opportunity to get yourself in under the basket. You see the ball come off the rim. Take me through the rest of it to the game-winning shot.
Like, I saw Josh, he went left, and whenever Josh shot, I saw the way that the ball was angled, and I knew it wasn't going to go in. But then whenever I went up to go get it, my teammate had beat me to it, and he put it up, so I tried to get down and back as fast as I could. And then he missed it, and then I was right there, and I got it, and I put it in, and it was awesome. Like, none of the guys came over to box me out, so I knew I could go ahead and get it and put it in.
And Drew, that 2 points, that's the one that everybody remembers, but it also, you had 2 big free throws about a minute prior to that in that contest that allowed you to have that putback win.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little nervous. I ain't gonna lie. I was a little nervous up there. But I knew that my team worked too hard for that, just to go up there and miss them, so I knew I had to put them in.
Well, Drew, your ball club, now they 7-4 4 record going into play this coming week. Games with Sissonville on the road, and then next Friday night a game at home against Wayne. Cardinal Conference is very competitive. You had that tight win with Mingo Central. Last week you gave Poca its closest game of the year to this point. You had a 4-point loss to Scott last week or 2 weeks ago. These Cardinal Conference games are all basically right down to the horn, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's just about whoever wants it more. Because everybody has good teams and stuff, so whoever wants it more is just going to win.
Well, Drew Williamson, freshman, Chapmanville Regional High School. Thank you for joining us here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, and someone we'll be hearing a lot from over the next 4 years, I have a feeling.
I hope so.
All right, that's Drew Williamson. Thanks very much for joining us. You know, staying in Logan County, we had a pretty good run in Logan County. Logan's girls last night picking up the win over Spring Valley. Shayna Gore was a big part of that, the Marshall signee, a big second half, and she joins us now. And Shayna, big win last night for your ball club.
Yeah, it was big. We came off from Huntington with the loss, and Coach Kurtz found a way to talk us into playing hard. At first, we didn't start out too good, but I'm glad my team found a way to win last night.
Shayna James Collier, congratulations on the win. And I put in the article I wrote about the game last night, I said Sarah Kelly put on a shooting performance in the first half. You put one of your own on in the second. Walk me through the differences of that game, because it was the tale of two halves. Spring Valley owned the first, Logan owned the second.
Well, we couldn't throw a ball in the ocean the first half, and Coach Groats gave us a big speech at halftime, and usually when he gets on to us and gives us a big speech, it just gets us going, and we knew what we were facing last night, and we knew what would help towards the future, so I guess we just decided to come out and play ball.
Spring Valley held Monica to 2 points in that first half. She ends up with 8 in the second for a total of 10, but she got 6 of those in the third quarter. How important was it for you, for her to get going down low to where you could start the dribble drive, but then you could also kick the ball and then find your way open to get those open 3-point shots?
Monica helps me a lot. Usually that's what I look for when I start to dribble towards the basket. Usually if I have somebody come over on me, I usually dump off to her, and I have a lot of trust into her. If one of us shoots the ball, that she's going to pull down the rebound and score.
Well, Shayna, last year I know things did not end as you would have liked them to, and now you're into the middle of January of this year, so postseason not too far away. 10-2 record. How do you feel your team has progressed through this season, as that win over Spring Valley perhaps a high point at this point in time?
Being in the middle of the season and beating Spring Valley last night has gave us a lot of confidence, because before Spring Valley we haven't really been playing well. But I was glad to see my team step up and play as a team last night, and that Spring Valley game, the win last night's really going to help us towards the future.
Well, Shane, I saw that on Twitter, one of the things that you tweeted out after the game was how much you enjoyed playing against Spring Valley, because you just played. There wasn't any real heat there. There was a lot of respect. Just tell me about playing in that game. I know you know a lot of those girls. You're very familiar with each other. And, you being a Marshall commit, Madison Morris being a Marshall signee, both signees actually at this point. But still just the familiarity and able to play a very competitive game, because neither of you wants to lose, but also still a completely respectful game as well.
It's not just high school ball. I play against them. I travel over the summer with them too. I play AAU with Maddie, and I'll go to the same tournaments in the summer as Sarah and Allie, and we just meet up and hang out. And I've always been like that since freshman year with Spring Valley. I like to play against them because there's no war between us. We all get along on and off the court.
Well, now you're in a little bit of a stretch where you may be off for up to 2 weeks between games. Any concern about that?
All I know is we got the #1 team next weekend, so I guess we'll start on Monday and work harder.
And that's one thing I wanted to mention too. As everyone here can attest, basically, I think everyone in West Virginia has been a little bit sick at some point over the last couple of weeks. I know you all were scheduled to go to Morgantown a couple of weeks ago and did not because of the flu bug hitting your team. You guys feeling better now?
Yeah, we're finally coming together and healthy. We had a couple players hurt and a couple players sick, but now finally it just seems like things are just falling into place now. Everybody's getting better.
And Shana, you talk about players being hurt, players being sick. One player that really came back big last night, and you sparked the run that got her going on that three at the end of the first quarter. Lexi Hines, she started last night. She found her rhythm, hits 3 3-pointers in the second quarter, in which that was the run that kind of kept you guys from, as Coach Gertz said, getting yourself run out of your own gym.
Yeah, I knew when Lexi was going to get better, she was going to come in and help, like Coach Gertz said. But anytime I find Lexi open, I try to get her the ball because I know anytime she's open or someone's in front of her, she's more than likely going to knock it down. So when I just see Lexi get on, I just keep feeding her the ball.
Well, Shana, I know that a lot of coaches throughout the state and perhaps the region may decide to go to your graduation just to make sure, because it seems like you've been there for a long time for some of them. But a senior season that's halfway done. We wish you the best moving forward.
Thank you so much.
All right, that's Logan's senior guard, Shana Gore. Right now, we'll be stepping aside for a break. When we come back, we'll have more of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. You're on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them, visit basketballnight.com. We want to thank all of our affiliates carrying Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia tonight, including 106.7 FM WHFI in Linside, 101.9 FM WVOW Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZLP Edmond, Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAPLP Clay, 88.1 FM WMUL Huntington, 91.9 FM WPHP Wheeling, Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM WYRC-LP Spencer, and 97.9 FM WSPW-LP in Parkersburg. You can also catch the show if you are a cable subscriber on Comcast Channel 25 in the Huntington area, Armstrong Cable, Digital Channel 204. Online, go to basketballnight.com and you can watch our high-definition video. Also, rsnsports.com. Online audio is available. Click Listen Live. Go to basketballnight.com, click on Listen Live for our streaming audio stream. Join us online at basketballnight.com and vote in this week's poll. Ohio allows games to be played on Sundays. Should the WVSSAC allow makeup games to be played on Sunday afternoons? Vote yes or no. Go to basketballnight.com and vote in the poll. You'll see the poll on the right-hand side of the page. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. West Virginia's high school basketball voice.
This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, heard statewide on great radio stations. Visit basketballnight.com to find the station nearest you. Get all the scores, all the time at basketballnight.com or on Twitter @hoops_roundup. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Rick Marone, Rudy Raines, and Ryan Epling.
It's 11:03 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Rick Marone, and James Collier with you, and happy to have you along. Hour 3 of 3. We're with you till midnight here on Basketball Night. Of course, if you want to visit the website, basketballnight.com, you can see our video feed there from our set here at Marshall University. So kind to allow us to do the show here. And, of course, Marshall being back in session now means that studio time, I mean, we're still fine, but it just means more work for getting the studio prepared sometimes. So we definitely appreciate all those who make that possible. And I did want to stop and give them a big thanks, because there are so many of them behind the scenes who may seemingly go thankless throughout the course of a show or throughout the course of even the entire season. Guys, we can't do it without them.
Yeah, to all the guys back there, Braxton Crisp taking care of all the phones, Marcus Constantino on the board, Mike the Hammer Stanley. We just call him the Mr. Fix-It-Upper. He's like duct tape. If he can't fix it, it's broke. Nicholas Collier, he's back there taking care of graphics. Lance making us sound as great as possible. There's nobody back there that can make us look good, so at least he can try to make us sound good. And, of course, Fred upstairs taking care of the automation. But a lot of guys behind the scenes doing the dirty work so we can try to look pretty out here in Maroon. We need all the help we can get.
Well, I was getting ready to say, me and you got faces for radio, and they do the best they can, and we appreciate it. And we have our greatest gratitude to them, whether they hear it as much as they should or not. They do a tremendous job.
So it's 11:05, and when we hit the top of the hour, that means it's time for a scoreboard update. A basketballnight.com scoreboard update coming up right now, as basketballnight.com is your one-stop source for everything high school basketball in West Virginia. Starting in Class AAA tonight, number 1 South Charleston beats Ripley 67-50. Again, these are boys' scores right now. Final in overtime, Wheeling Park hands Parkersburg South its first loss of the season, 73-71. Elijah Bell, the game winner in overtime. Another overtime game on the mountaintop. Huntington defeats Capital. The 4th-ranked Highlanders get the win over number 7 Capital, 78-73. Great game there that went to overtime. Final score tonight, Preston, ranked number 8 in Class AAA, beats Class Single A number 8 Tucker County, 68-53. Number 9, Jefferson. The Cougars beat Musselman 56-41. Other scores in AAA tonight, Brook over University 76-70. It was George Washington defeating St. Albans 54-24. Washington beats Hedgesville 49-40. Hurricane, a tight win over Riverside 75-70. Hey, Riverside might be one of those postseason teams to kind of keep an eye out for. Union Local Ohio beats John Marshall 86-34 tonight. The Jets get the win. Lincoln County defeats Point Pleasant 50-42. It was Martinsburg 67, Spring Mills 46. Parkersburg, the Big Reds beat Nitro 76-68. Princeton goes on the road to Spring Valley, and it's the Wolves getting the win at the Wolves Den 69-57. And the Shady Spring Tigers defeat Independence tonight 65-51. In Class AA, top 5 matchup, no problems for number 1 Polka. The Dots remain unbeaten. They beat Mingo Central. The number 5 ranked Miners go on the road and fall 70-47 tonight. Polka gets the big win. Number 3 Westside goes to the Brush Fork Armory and defeats the Bluefield Beavers 71-57. Nice win tonight for the Renegades. Number 7 Scott holds serve at home. They beat Wayne 90-49 tonight as the Skyhawks pulled away in that one. Number 10 Pikeview falls on the road to the Richlands Blue Tornadoes from Virginia 107-90. Great ball game there. That was like an NBA game. The Berkeley Springs Indians beat Hancock, Maryland tonight 75-51. In Logan County, Chapmanville Regional able to defeat the Man Hillbillies 61-55. In the Mineral County Bowl, the basketball edition, the Kaiser Golden Tornado defeats Frankfort 61-57. Other finals tonight in AA, Riverview beats Mountain View in the McDowell County Showdown 77-64. In Welch, the final score tonight, Riverview goes on the road and gets the win. It was Moorfield defeating Petersburg 58-54. Roane County beats Ritchie County tonight 57-49. Wyoming East defeats Summers County 76-58. And Madonna beats Weir 64-36 in the Battle of Weirton. In Class Single A, the number 1 ranked Magnolia Blue Eagles defeat Oak Glen 99-59 at the Boggs Roundball Classic. Number 2 Wheeling Central triple overtime to defeat Trinity Christian 99-90. West Virginia verbal commit Chase Harler 46 points in the win for Wheeling Central. Number 6 Charleston Catholic defeats Greenbrier West 56-37. It was number 7 Bishop Donahue over Payton City 62-51. Number 9 Valley Fayette defeats Buffalo 68-53. Fayetteville over Midland Trail tonight 50-39. Bellsville, Ohio, a tight win over the 100 Hornets on the road 62-61 is the win for Bellsville. Also tonight, the Tug Valley Panthers in Naugatuck all over the Huntington St. Joe Central Catholic High School Fighting Irish, the longest high school name in West Virginia, 64-45, the final there for Tug Valley. And it was St. Mary's defeating Wirt County 66-59. Frontier Local Ohio defeats South Harrison 73-39. And Tyler Consolidated falls at home tonight to the Valley Wetzel Lumberjacks. That is in the Boggs Round Ball Classic. Valley Wetzel wins 78-58. Girls action tonight in Class AAA. It was number 7 Greenbrier East defeating Roanoke Catholic out of Virginia 57-39. Woodrow Wilson defeats Cabell Midland 56-45. Grafton over Elkins tonight 47-33. The Bridgeport Indians defeat Lewis County 57-43. And it was Wheeling Park over Oak Glen 65-35. In Class AA, number 2 Fairmont Senior defeats Preston 48-25. Number 8 Clay County all over South Harrison 71-25. 10th ranked Herbert Hoover falls at home to the Chapmanville Regional Tigers 58-44. Chapmanville Regional goes on the road and gets the Cardinal Conference win. Frankfort defeats Berkeley Springs tonight 77-39. Lincoln over Liberty Harrison 70-20. It was Roane County over Ritchie County 48-41. Riverview defeats Greater Beckley Christian in girls basketball tonight 77-64. In Class Single A, number 4 Williamstown defeats Parkersburg Catholic 76-52. It was Pendleton County upsetting number 5 Pocahontas County 50-31, the final there. Number 6 Clay Battelle falls at home. Trinity Christian gets the win in girls basketball action 63-48. Number 7 Gilmer County survives. They weren't upset. They ended up winning by 21 over visiting Doddridge County tonight 61-40. And number 10 Meadow Bridge defeats Liberty Raleigh 52-32. That's your check of the basketballnight.com scoreboard. We go right back to the phones, and this is a first for us. We're going to have 2 for the price of 1 tonight. Whitney and Brittany Justice are twins who are tearing it up for the Summers County Lady Bobcats. They both join us on the phone now. And girls, welcome to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Thank you.
I guess I have to decide which one speaks first in that situation.
Yeah, it's. I guess, do we go by alphabetical order? We've got Brittany, we have Whitney, so we'll let them kind of alternate. We're starting by that way. But Brittany and Whitney, welcome to Basketball Friday Night. And it's seemingly since the show started out back in the first part of December, every night a Summers County score rolls across. It's always justice has been served. It's 25 points, 26 points, double-double by each of you each night. Talk about your season thus far and the success this team is out to a 9-1 start with the only loss coming to Wyoming East.
Well, it was a good team, but we'll learn from it, and I'm sure we'll get them the second time. We have 3 good teammates that go along with us, and that helps us.
When you're twins, and this is something that I think that most people can't understand because twins are different. I'm obviously not a twin. None of us have a twin that I'm aware of. So just talk about how growing up together, you're always around each other. You've played basketball together probably since you were old enough to dribble a basketball. Just how much that helps in its own right. I know you don't necessarily know any different, but to have someone that you're always on the same page with on the floor.
Well, of course, we grew up together, and we've always been playing together, so it helps us a lot because we always know where each other is on the court.
I guess before we go any farther into this interview, can you identify yourself? Because I hear a voice difference. Which one is Brittany? Which one is Whitney?
Brittany was first, and I'm Whitney now.
Okay, so they're going alphabetical order. So we talked with Whitney. Well, Whitney, you last night in the win, 51-49 win over Pikeview. You have 25 points. Tell me a little bit about the game. This was a close game, a 2-point win, but either way, pick up the 9th win of the season.
It was a good win for us. They're a big rivalry, and it was a great atmosphere, and we started from the start, and we played good the whole game.
And Brittany, going back to you, when you see your sister on the court and you have the opportunity to play with your sister, when you see her start to really get in a rhythm, does that fuel you as well and get you going to where that's the reason why, even though you're twins, every night on the court, it seems like when we see the stats come in, they're pretty close to being the same as well?
Yeah, it just gets us both excited and fueled up, and we just keep on playing better.
Now,
we feed off of one another.
How many times have you tried the hocus pocus on defenders, especially when they're in a man-to-man set, of trying to get them confused of which one they're trying to guard?
It never. I'm left-handed, and I usually catch on to that.
How does that happen? I thought twins basically were always like, I didn't know one would be left-handed, one would be right-handed. That's interesting. That's different.
Well, that's what married twins are. We're married twins.
Ah, there you go.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah.
This is Coach Marone for Whitney. And Whitney, I know you all made a run to the state tournament last year. Sissonville, you guys had a great game with them. You weren't able to advance, I'm sure, as far as you would have liked. But how has that fueled you all through the offseason as you've come into this year here to try and get back to the state tournament? But not only that, I know at Summers County, really, state championships are the ultimate goal there. Coach Ryan has a great program there, but how motivated are you and your teammates to try and get Summers County back on top?
Well, we're not really worried about Sissonville because we have 5 great teams in our region, and we got to worry about beating them to go to states first. And there's 3 in our section, so we have to worry about beating them.
That's a very good sectional. I mean, it's not an easy path for you to get to Charleston. Do you think that helps you a little bit too? Because girls basketball in that particular area is very strong. So night in, night out, when we're talking Pikeview, we're talking Wyoming East, West Side, we're talking Bluefield this year is very good as well. Does that help you a lot in terms of you're used to being in those types of battles?
Yeah. The better we play, then the better competition, the better we play.
And Brittany, I have to ask this question because I think it's almost mandatory anytime any twins are being interviewed. Growing up, did you guys ever pull a switch on a teacher or anything of that nature in maybe elementary school or somewhere along the way of someone who you might have been able to fool a little bit?
Well, we might have done it once or twice.
Brittany and Whitney Justice, the twins from Summers County, girls basketball, their season off to another fantastic start, and they've got another fantastic ball club. Girls, thanks for joining us, and great having you on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Thank you.
All right, those are the Justice twins from Summers County and their dog. We're going to step aside and take a break. When we come back, Adam Marco, the voice of Charleston Catholic, he made the long trip to Charmco tonight as Charleston Catholic got a win over Greenbrier West. We'll talk about that one when we come back here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Join us on Twitter. We got 1,203 followers now. Our new goal, 1,300. @hoops_roundup. @hoops_roundup. Send in your scores, give us a tweet, and become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. High school basketball action in West Virginia is heating up as the teams focus on a trip to the state championship in Charleston. Stay up to date with your local team and its progress all season long, with basketball Friday night in West Virginia for 3 hours every Friday night from 9 to midnight. Listen online or on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State. Join us online at basketballnight.com. We want you to vote in this week's poll. Last week, 50% of you agreed that competition in Class AA boys this season is better than Class AAA. This week's question: Ohio allows games to be played on Sundays. Should the WVSSAC allow makeup games to be played on Sunday afternoons? Vote yes or no. Go to basketballnight.com and vote in the poll. You'll see the poll on the right-hand side of the page. You've got until 11:45 tonight to vote, and we'll share the results at the end of the show. Basketball Friday night in West Virginia. West Virginia's high school basketball voice. Lots of ways you can connect with the show. Call us toll-free, 1-855-345-4709. 855-345-4709. Email your scores to scores@basketballnight.com. Scores@basketballnight.com. Basketball Friday night in West Virginia.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to basketball night in West Virginia with James Collier, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
Only 40 minutes to go in the fastest 3 hours in radio. It's Basketball Friday night in West Virginia, 11:20 on this January 16th. Boy, we're like halfway through already. The season. Where does it go? Anyway, long trip tonight for Charleston Catholic to Greenbrier West. The Irish pick up a win, 56-37. Adam Marco was there. Adam, thanks for sticking around with us. And Charleston Catholic able to go on the road and pick up a win.
Turned out to be a good night for the Irish. The 2-hour trip down to Charmco, and it was a team coming off a loss at Greater Beckley Christian on Tuesday night, where the Irish gave up on Tuesday 13 points in the first, 13 in the second, and 27 in the third alone. And they rallied back in the fourth, ultimately still lost by 15 Tuesday. So you're not quite sure how this is going to work. It was their third game of the week. Yes, it was against a 0-7 Greenbrier West team, but the Greenbrier West team that's been in some of those games this year, even though they haven't come out on the winning end of the scores. Ultimately, the Irish trailed 11-6 after one, brought out a full-court press in the second quarter, used it the rest of the game, and really used a 14-0 run to start the fourth quarter to put away the Cavaliers in this one, send them to their 8th loss of the year. It's a tough one for Joey Fitzwater's team. They've got some young talent there, but the Irish, they beat Greenbrier West a few weeks ago with ease at the athletic complex, and ultimately able to pull away with that run thanks to the full court pressure. 4 guys in double figures tonight. Hayden McCarty had an off night shooting, still made it to double figures, but ultimately another victory as the Irish pick up their 8th this season.
Yeah, 8-3 now on the season, and a trip to Buffalo coming up next week, and then a couple of days off, not till Saturday when they play home against Notre Dame. That should be an outstanding ball game too.
You know, the Irish, they had their schedule right now. It's a stretch of home games and a stretch of road games. There's not much back and forth really. That next set of games when they get back home, they've got Notre Dame, Bishop Donahue, and Parkersburg Catholic coming in. It's going to be another tough stretch of games. Fortunately for them, they do at least get a little bit of a break. You know, I'm talking to Coach Fitzwater from Greenbrier West. They've played 2 times since Charleston Catholic and the Cavaliers met on January 3rd. The Irish have played 3 times this week, so it's kind of funny how that schedule works out, and just the pacing that teams have to find, you know, keeping their legs and not being exhausted by the end of the week. And I think that has a lot to do with why it was a 5-point deficit. That and some good shooting by Chandler Fitzwater at the outset, the close of that first quarter, I should say.
And 2 trips down the turnpike in 4-day span and a 1-1 split. I'm sure Charleston Catholic would like to have won both, but at this point in the year, I think you'll take that.
I think you will, and it's my second straight year headed down to Charmco to watch this team play. I was very happy that there was a Taco Bell open after this game, because when we were there last year, I think it was a Tuesday night, and they closed at 9 o'clock. And, you got to do something on the highway, so a book on CD and delicious meal.
Marco, you're killing us, man. We're sitting here starving. We don't get to eat for another 35 minutes. You're talking about Taco Bell. Come on, man.
Eat before you go.
Yeah, there's certain places in West Virginia you learn about that, sometimes the hard way.
It was difficult last year. I had to wait until Beckley to find something to eat. But this year, it was fortunately a Friday night. They were open a little bit later, so maybe they'll be open when you guys are done.
All right. Hey, Adam Marco, always a pleasure talking with you. And Charleston Catholic, another nice win tonight.
Gentlemen, you have a good night.
You too. As Adam Marco, as he heads back from Charmco to Charleston. And I accidentally cut off our next caller. So I hope someone back in the back caught that and can help me with that. And I apologize. If you just called in and I just hung up on you, please call us back. I apologize. It can happen, guys.
Now Bo's going to call back in and really give you a technical foul. We all three got technical fouls. You've been ejected.
Yeah, that's my second.
You're gone.
No, I think I better stick this one out. I'm getting a reprieve from the commissioner's office. It was
you've had it now.
It was Rick Kozlowski.
You better get a break in before we get him on, because he's going to rag you out for a good 5 minutes.
We've got a couple of minutes here. Again, the phone number if you want to join us, 855-345-4709. And unfortunately, before the show, I didn't get a chance to talk with Coach Marone. I haven't got to talk with him a whole lot. And Coach Marone is so nice to join us, and as the coach of the Tulsa Lady Rebels, and sometimes that can put him in an awkward position. I have to talk about a game earlier this week. I have to talk about it because Wayne's girls beat Tulsa in Glen Hayes. That's the first time in 20 years that Wayne has gone in there and picked up a win at Rebel Arena.
Yeah, give them all credit. It was a great game. A lot of fans there. It was a good atmosphere. Both teams have really struggled this year, just to be honest. Both of us are in a transition mode. They've got a mix. They've got a more experienced team than us. They've got 4 girls back from last year. We really don't have the experience they've got, and they've got a couple nice freshmen that play for them. It probably wasn't going to set basketball forward. It was a typical game. We've had some really good battles with them. I wasn't aware of how long it'd been. I guess the upside to that is it's 20-1 now. So,
right.
But Coach Williamson does a great job. We have a lot of fun together. It's a good situation with me and him. I know he coached boys before. I used to coach boys. So, Wayne County basketball is on the upswing. I know Wayne County Middle School basketball over the last couple of years, Wayne has been strong. Crum, one of our feeder schools, Buffalo, which feeds Spring Valley. So I think the fans are going to be treated to that. Again, 2 teams trying to find their way. We're both in the same section and conference. So round 1 went to them. We get to go over to Pioneer Arena later in the season. But it was a good game. We came up short in the game, but we fought back. We got off to a poor start. Had 2 starters foul out, really our own doing. But we've got 4 freshmen of our 9 players. We only have 9 in uniform. 4 are freshmen, 3 are sophomores. But it's a good rivalry, and we're looking forward to the opportunity to go back. But we've got some other road to hoe before that, as do they. But it was a great game. Again, congratulations to them for the win. And, we're just trying to move forward. But, again, it's one of those things that I think that when you have the athletes that Wayne has and Tulsa and girls, that it can be a great rivalry. We used to have some wars with them. Kara Morris was there. Wayne used to get the upper hand on us. Buffalo Wayne was a power back then when Gene Hyrosky coached there. They won state championships. So it's a good time, and it was a great atmosphere. So,
and anything that can build the interest in girls basketball in Wayne County is not a bad thing either. So I unfortunately I wasn't able to go. It was on Tuesday. I was sound asleep because I work overnights. But
we were for a while too. They helped put us that way, but. It was a great game, and the boys hook up Tuesday night this week at Tulsa. So you've been to a few of those, as have I.
Yes.
And Tulsa made a great showing at Wayne. Actually had a nice lead there, but Wayne pulled it out. And the tables turned really since last year. This year, Wayne with a little bit of streak in that rivalry, and Tulsa still winless this year. So it's great to be in the middle of it. Again, not fun to come up on the short end, but it's great for basketball.
It is good, and one thing that I can say is that there is a lot of respect in that rivalry. It's not the heated rivalry that, I mean, there was some heat at one point, but it's kind of filtered out, and I think cooler heads have prevailed over the years. And it's a nice. It's a good atmosphere. It's fun now,
and that's what it needs to be. And we talked about rivalries, and you talked about with our Player of the Week with Gage Wicks and Williamstown. Same thing. You have community support, and you miss that sometimes. So if you want to get out to Rebel Arena Tuesday night or tune in, it'll be on the Fast Break Sports Network. Wayne and Tulsa will be getting it on Tuesday night.
Should be a lot of fun. Always is. Right now, we'll step aside, take a break. When we come back, it's Cause time. If I don't hang up on him accidentally.
Yeah, he said it was the blog talk lady. I said, no, it's Ryan.
I'm going to scroll this over off of the X there so I don't accidentally hit it again. Right now, we'll step aside, take a break. We'll come back. We'll have a scoreboard update and Rick Kozlowski of the Martinsburg Journal when Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Congratulations to Gage Wicks of the Williamstown Yellow Jackets. Gage was selected tonight as the Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. If you've got somebody remarkable on your team or an athlete that made an outstanding play, nominate them for Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. Each week we consider nominees based on leadership, performance on the court, academic performance, involvement in the community, and volunteer work. Every Friday night, we select a standout athlete of the week. Go to basketballnight.com/standout athlete. Fill out the online form with your nomination. It's all there. Basketballnight.com. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We'd like for you to join us on Twitter, too. Follow us on Twitter. We'll make sure to mention you on the show. @hoops_roundup. @hoops_roundup. Send in your scores, give us a tweet, and become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. You've got just a few minutes left to answer tonight's poll. Ohio allows games to be played on Sundays. Should the WVSS-ACL allow makeup games to be played on Sunday afternoons? Yes or no? Go to basketballnight.com and vote in the poll. You'll see the poll on the right-hand side of the page. You got until 11:45 tonight to vote, and we'll share the results at the end of the show. Coming up, it's going to be Cause time on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Marone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
It's 11:32 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Rick Marone, and James Collier with you. And before we get to our buddy Rick Kozlowski of the Martinsburg Journal, we have to do a scoreboard update. We'll turn this one over to Coach Rick Marone. Surprise.
Looking for scores, look no more. Your basketballnight.com scoreboard is loaded and ready, and it is practically full. Inspector Clouseau is back in the back. I saw his magnifying glass out. He has one or two scores, and I believe he'll have them by the time I get to them. Pressure's on. In AAA boys, South Charleston 67-50 winners over Ripley. Parkersburg South, number 3, they fall to Wheeling Park. 73-71 the Patriots with the upset. Capital 73, Huntington High 78. Huntington High gets the win in overtime over the Cougars. 68-53, Preston over Tucker County. Jefferson 56, Musselman the Appleman 41. Brooke the Bruins 76, University 70. George Washington 54, St. Albans 24. Washington High School 49, Hedgesville 40. Hurricane 75, Riverside 70. Union Local the Jets. Not Benny and the Jets, but Union Local Jets 86, John Marshall 34. Point Pleasant falls to Lincoln County 50-42. Lincoln County, the home of Chuck Yeager, actually was born in Lincoln County in Hamlin. Broke the speed of sound, and I'm trying to do the same here on the scoreboard tonight. Get through all these scores, a lot of them, and a lot of great games tonight. Martinsburg 67-46 over Spring Mills. Nitro falls to Parkersburg. The Big Red 76, Nitro 68. Princeton falls to Spring Valley. Spring Valley 69-57 winners over Princeton. Herbert 29 and Ferguson 26 in that one. Shady Springs 65, Independence 51. In Class AA, the Polka Dots continue to roll on 70-47 over Mingo Central. Westside 71, Bluefield 57, Scott 90, Wayne 49. A Cardinal Conference matchup there goes to the Skyhawks. Pikeview falls to Richlands. This is correct, 107-90. Richlands defeats Pikeview. You lose by 17 after you put up 90. That's gotta be a weird feeling.
Yeah.
107-90 in that one. Richlands gets a win. Berkeley Springs 75, Hancock Maryland 51. Man falls to Chapmanville. The Tigers 61-55 winners in that one. Kaiser 61-57 winners over Frankfort. Herbert Hoover, the Huskies 89, Sherman 71. Philip Barber 66, Liberty Harrison 49. Liberty Raleigh, the Raiders 90, Nicholas County Grizzlies 53. Riverview 77, Mount View 64. Moorfield 58, Petersburg 54. Roane County gets a 57-49 winner over Ritchie County. The Wyoming East Warriors 76, Summers County 58. Madonna, the Blue Dons 64, Weir 36. Class A boys, Magnolia 99, Oak Glen 59. Wheeling Central, the Maroon Knights get a 99-90 win over Trinity in 3 overtimes. Chase Harler pours in 46 points tonight for the Maroon Knights. Charleston Catholic 56, Greenbrier West 37, Bishop Donahue 62, Peyton City 51. The Valley Fayette Greyhounds 68-53 winners over Buffalo. Fayetteville 50, the Pirates make Midland Trail walk the plank, 50-39 victory for Fayetteville. Bealsville, Ohio 62, Hundred 61. Richwood, the Lumberjacks chop down Meadow Bridge 70-45. Also in Class A, Tug Valley, a young team but really on the move, 64-45, a big win over St. Joe's Central. St. Mary's 66, Work County 59. South Gallia out of Crown City, Ohio, 76-53 winners over Wahama. South Harrison falls to Frontier, Ohio, 73-39. And our final boys score, Valley Wetzel 78, Tyler Consolidated 58. And as we move into the girls side of things, scores are now pouring in. And we'll get an update starting in AAA. Greenbrier East defeats Roanoke Catholic out of Virginia 57-39. East Fairmont falls to Buchanan Upshur 66-40. Buchanan gets the win. Cabell Midland loses to Woodrow. Woodrow Wilson 56, Cabell Midland 45. Grafton 47, Elkins 33. Bridgeport 57, Lewis County 43. Lincoln County Panthers 67-21 winners over Point Pleasant. Wheeling Park 65, Oak Glen 35. Class AA girls, North Marion 68-52 winners over RC Bird. Fairmont Senior, low scoring but still a nice win for them. They beat Preston 48-25. Clay County rolls over South Harrison 71-25. Clay County's girls ranked number 8 in the state in the AP poll. Herbert Hoover ranked number 10. They fall to a good Chapmanville team 58-44. David Williamson's squad with a big win in that one. Frankfort 77-39 winners over Berkeley Springs. James Monroe 63, Westside 44. Lincoln High School 70, Liberty Harrison 20. Roane County 48, Ritchie County 41. Greater Beckley falls to Riverview 77-64, the Raiders with the victory. In Class A, Williamstown 76-52 winners over Parkersburg Catholic. Pocahontas County number 5 falls big to Pendleton County. Pendleton 50, Pocahontas 31. Clay Battelle gets a 15-point defeat put on them by Trinity Christian. 63-48, Trinity knocks off number 6, Clay Battelle. Gilmer County 61-40 winners over Doddridge County. The Harmon Panthers and Notre Dame were actually canceled due to poor weather in Harmon. And number 10, Meadow Bridge knocks off Liberty Raleigh 52-32. And our final score tonight on the boys' side, Moorfield 41, Tigers 38. That's a look at your basketballnight.com scoreboard update.
Thank you very much, Coach Marone. In just a couple of minutes, we'll hear from the head coach of a girls program that is right now ranked in the top 30 nationally. But before we do that, we've got Rick Kozlowski of the Martinsburg Journal. It's Cos time. Rick, welcome to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
I'm trying to listen to my bumper music.
Just let it breathe. Just let it breathe.
I'm not sure I even know this song, but I like it. I was getting into Inagata Davida before you guys started the scoreboard. That was good.
Always glad.
How are you guys tonight?
Hey, we're doing just fine down our way here in Huntington, where it is chilly. I believe it's a little cold up in Martinsburg tonight as well.
I believe it is as well.
Good win tonight for the Bulldogs. Picking up a win for was Martinsburg tonight, and Jefferson the winner tonight as well. And really, I think the surprise of the Eastern Panhandle tonight was Washington beating Hedgesville. I know Hedgesville's not having the season that it had hoped for due to some various circumstances, but Washington able to go up and get the win.
I was absolutely stunned by that. Hedgesville has dropped 4 games in a row. I watched them play Martinsburg last week, fairly competitive game, and I'm just I'm mystified where that team is right now. Also puzzled by Jefferson, a team that looked to be the class of the Panhandle, played Martinsburg on Tuesday at Martinsburg, wound up losing to a Martinsburg team that right now is playing without 3 starters. And so obviously getting some good productivity from its bench, and Jarrell Jones was really on tonight for Martinsburg. 29 points, 14 out of 16 from the foul line. So Spring Mills wasn't going to let him shoot the ball, but they gave him the free ones to try, and pretty successful. So it's I don't know, interesting season. I was talking with Richard Lewis tonight, the Jefferson coach, kind of about just the whole demeanor of Eastern Panhandle basketball and in AAA, because it's been so good for the last 4 or 5 years. And this year, I think it's down a little bit. And with that being said, I'm not going to be surprised if there are 2 teams from the Panhandle in Charleston for the state tournament come March.
It's one of those situations where this year in particular, there's a chance somebody is going to get hot come February and into March, and that might end up being your best team.
I think without a doubt. That's the thing. I guess. Wow. I was about to say what has me scratching my head, and I was literally scratching my head as I was starting to say that. Hey, there's no video here. I can watch you guys, but you can't see me.
There you go. We'll work on that.
But Hedgesville went down last weekend and had a fairly competitive game with George Washington, which George Washington turns around and beats Huntington on Tuesday, and we're sitting here up in the Panhandle saying, what's wrong with Hedgesville? So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting season.
It's been a fun season. And, Rick, I apologize for hanging up on you.
Well, that's all right. Watch me hang up on you right now. No,
and goodbye. No.
Blog Talk Radio.
Yeah, we're going. As we were joking, we'll blame the Blog Talk lady for hanging up on you there. But, Rick, is this the first? You mentioned it's been a while for the Eastern Panhandle in terms of there being this much uncertainty into what you have. But Jarrell Jones, let's talk about him for a minute. I know he's already starting to get some attention from college coaches.
Yeah, just a junior. The the kid can play. There's absolutely no question about that. And I think with Martinsburg, being in a situation where they have injured players, he's going to be called upon to do a lot more. And I think he's capable of doing that. He's the stepson of former West Virginia standout Marcellus Basie, if that name rings a bell for any of you guys. I know Big Daddy, you're probably too young. But
that name's definitely in the periphery, so to speak.
Yeah, so he's obviously getting some good schooling right in his home. But there's no question. I mean, the kid has been a starter since his freshman year. He's got some incredible hops. He can jump out of the gym, but as much as he can do that, he can shoot it from pretty much all over the floor. There's some good individual talent on the Panhandle right now. I talked a lot about Jalen Smith last week from Jefferson, and Jaleel Jenkins, a sophomore. And the one disappointing thing is not being able to see Daniel Delaware this season. After he broke his leg a week before the season started, and certainly it hurts Hedgesville. He had his Division I offers as well, and for him to go on, he's probably going to wind up going to a prep school. Jones has got is getting the place, like you said, getting a lot of good looks. There's some talented juniors in this state right now.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Rick, we've got to run, but definitely appreciate you talking with us tonight, and look forward to hearing from you again next week, and I promise I won't hang up on you.
Well, that's good. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Always an honor and a pleasure, gentlemen.
Hey, the pleasure is all ours, Rick. Thank you very much. That's Rick Kozlowski, the Martinsburg Journal. I have to take a break, and then we'll get Jason White, who's the head coach of the Morgantown girls team, and we'll wrap things up here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them, visit basketballnight.com. Thanks to all of our affiliates tonight carrying the show. We appreciate you. And you can listen in on 106.7 FM WHFI in Linside, 101.9 FM WVOW Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZLP Edmond Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAPLP Clay, 88.1 FM WMUL Huntington, 91.9 FM WPHP Wheeling, Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM WYRCLP Spencer, 97.9 FM WSPW-LP in Parkersburg. You can also check us out online at basketballnight.com, and you can watch our streaming video feed. You can also find that on rsnsports.com. Online audio is available at basketballnight.com. Just click Listen Live. If you're a cable subscriber in the Huntington area, we're on Comcast Channel 25 and Armstrong Cable Digital Channel 204. Thanks for joining us, and we appreciate everyone sending us a tweet tonight, including Greg Christ, Rob Metzger, Peyton Michaels, SCH Athletes, Lincoln Athletics, GWHS Athletics, WHS Basketball, GHS Lady Cats, WOAY Sports, Mel Stevens, and Spencer Leatherman. Join us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Send in your scores, give us a tweet, and become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Marone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
11:47 on this Basketball Friday night in West Virginia as we wrap things up here on the Fast Break Sports Network. Ryan Epling, Rick Marone will be back with us in about probably 35 seconds or so.
It's kind of how we started the show.
James Collier's here with me as well. Definitely appreciate it. We'll get a scoreboard update, a final check of the scoreboard in a moment. But first, I want to go to Jason White, Morgantown girls head coach. We haven't got to talk a lot about the Mohegans girls teams this year because, well, they haven't played on Fridays. Coach White, Friday ball games, buddy, you got to do that for us, huh?
It'd be nice. Seems like we've had a hard time to get any games in so far this season.
Your team undefeated, and as I mentioned a moment ago, is actually in the receiving votes for the USA Today Super 25 is ranked the 30th best team in the country. Did that kind of catch you off guard a little bit?
Oh, it certainly caught me off guard. Our kids kind of turned me on to it last night after our ball game against Brook at home, and certainly what an honor that is and quite an accomplishment. I think it speaks volumes to how hard our kids have worked over the last, 2 or 3 seasons, to really string together a good run. And our kids are playing at a pretty high level right now, but you know as well as I do, once that ball gets tossed in the air, you better bring it every night, and those things just put a little bit bigger target on your back is all that does. It doesn't get you any bonus points when it comes game time.
No, but it's been a great run, too. And, I mean, your team 9-0 on the season, and that 82-18 win over Brook. Now, I guess it's a little easier to take when your team kind of turns you toward that after they win a game 82-18. But coming up against Martinsburg tomorrow, I mean, that's a Martinsburg team that made the state tournament a year ago and won a game in Charleston.
Yeah, a semifinal team that is senior laden. Not only a semifinal team, but a semifinal team that returns the core of its team, and led by Kristen Nunn and Taylor Ferguson. So we're going to have to go out there on their court and battle and scratch and claw and try to get out of Martinsburg somehow with a win.
And they've won 5 straight. Last year, your team, a lot of it was kind of the grit and the determination of Olivia Segi. Tell me about your team this year. I know she's back, but tell me about the team. And obviously, for this type of success, the surrounding players have obviously stepped up as well.
Yeah, we dressed 14 players in that state championship game, and we returned 12 of those kids this year. We do miss dearly our 2 seniors from last year, the part of the graduation, but they were both defensive-minded kids, and we've kind of plugged in and replaced them with 2 offensive-minded kids. So right now we're scoring the ball a little bit better than we were this time a year ago, but unfortunately we're not playing right now as good a defense as we did a year ago. And I think if we're going to be serious about making a run in March, our defense is certainly going to have to get better and continue to improve over the next 6 weeks or so. But it's a marathon, not a sprint. We want to be peaking at the right time, and our basketball team's certainly headed in that direction.
Well, tomorrow you go to Martinsburg, you go to Brook on Wednesday of next week, and then Friday, you play a Friday game, home game against University next week.
Yeah, finally a Friday game, and it's a rivalry game, and it's the Hawks' turn to come across town and come to our gym, and we certainly look forward to those rivalry games, and not only a rivalry game, but anytime it's nice to get a rivalry game and a conference game at the same time, and those conference games are getting more and more important as we close in on the end of our conference schedule. So we want to try to get a couple more wins, and then it's serious time because next Saturday is our makeup game against Logan at home, and then we travel the following Tuesday down across Route 50 and get our first battle with the Patriots of Parkersburg South.
So obviously a fun time coming up for you. Coach White, Jason White, Morgantown High School girls basketball coach, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate all you guys do for girls basketball in the state of West Virginia.
All right, and thank you. And again, that anytime you get a team that is receiving votes or is recognized as the 30th best team in the country, that's also good for the state of West Virginia as well. So we appreciate Coach White and what they're doing. Wish them the best of luck moving forward. We've got to get one final check of the scoreboard. Coach Marone will have the boys And James Collier will get the girls. We'll start with Coach Marone in the basketballnight.com scoreboard.
Looking for scores? Look no more. Basketballnight.com. Park your scoreboard needs in the garage that is the basketballnight.com scoreboard update. In Class AAA boys, South Charleston 67-50 winners over Ripley. A 21-4 run in the third quarter broke open a tight game in that one. Parkersburg South falls to Wheeling Park 73-71. The Patriots get a win, the first loss for South this year. Capital, a big win for Huntington High over Capital in overtime. Huntington High 78-73 winners in that one. Preston 68, Tucker County 53. Jefferson 56-41 winners over Musselman. Brooke 76, University 70. George Washington 54-24 winners over St. Albans. Hedgesville falls to Washington. The Patriots win 49-40. Hurricane 75, Riverside 70. Union Local out of Ohio 86-34 winners over John Marshall. Point Pleasant falls to Lincoln County. The Panthers 50, Point Pleasant 42. Martinsburg wins 67-46 over Spring Mills. Nitro falls to Parkersburg. The Big Red 76, Nitro 68. Spring Valley gets a 69-57 win at home over Princeton tonight. Shady Springs defeats Independence 65-51. In Class AA, Polka 70, Mingo Central 47, Westside 71-57 to Renegades over Bluefield tonight in a big matchup there. Scott 90-49 winners over Wayne and the Pioneers. Pikeview falls to Richlands out of Virginia 107-90. Pikeview puts up 90 but gets beat 107-90. Berkeley Springs 75, Hancock Maryland 51. Chapmanville 61-55 winners over Man. Kaiser 61, Frankfort 57. Herbert Hoover gets an 89-71 winner over the Sherman Tide. Also in Class AA, Philip Barber 66, Liberty Harrison 49. Nicholas County falls to Liberty Raleigh. The Raiders 90, the Grizzlies 53. Riverview gets a win 77-64 over Mount View. Moorfield 58, Petersburg 54. Roane County 57-49 for Ritchie County, an 8-point win for the Roane County Raiders. Wyoming East wins 76-58 over Summers County. Madonna 64, Weir 36. Class A boys, Magnolia 99-59 winners over Oak Glen. Wheeling Central in 3 overtimes defeats Trinity Christian 99-90. Chase Harler with 46 points for Wheeling Central. Charleston Catholic defeats Greenbrier West 56-37. Number 7 Bishop Donahue 62-51 winners over Payton City. Number 9 Valley Fayette 68, Buffalo 53. Midland Trail falls to Fayetteville 50-39. Fayetteville gets the win. Bealsville, Ohio defeats Hundred 62-61. Richwood 70-45 winners over Meadowbridge. Tuck Valley defeats St. Joe's 64-45. St. Mary's over Work County 66-59. South Gallia Rebels 76, Wahama 53. Frontier 73, South Harrison 39. And our final boys score, Valley Wetzel 78, Tyler Consolidated 58, and James Collier. Have a look at our girls' scores.
For time constraints, we'll go with just the winners tonight on the girls' side. In Class AAA, Greenbrier East, Buchanan Upshur, Woodrow Wilson, Grafton, Bridgeport, Lewis County, Oak Glen falls to Wheeling Park. In Class AA, it's number 1 North Marion victorious, number 2 Fairmont Senior, number 8 Clay County, Chapmanville with the upset over Herbert Hoover, Falcon with the win. Also winners James Monroe, Lincoln, Roane County, and Riverview. And finally in Class Single A, Williamstown, Pendleton County, Trinity Christian, Gilmer County, and Meadowbridge. Final score, Moorfield over Tigers Valley.
All right, thanks, guys. A full night of basketball. Our poll question last week, Ohio allows games to be played on Sundays. Should the SSAC allow makeup games to be played on Sunday afternoons? Makeup games only. We had a good response. 54% say yes, 46% say no, so very close to an even split. Braxton, our Inspector Clouseau, back in the back. You have the poll question for this week.
Ryan, the poll question for this week is, should the shot clock be instituted in the state of West Virginia to prevent ball holding to kill the clock at the end of ball games? Vote until 11:45 next Friday night at basketballnight.com.
Basketballnight.com, your one-stop shop for everything. And, James, you're holding a shirt.
Yeah, I've got a shirt. We talk about wanting swag for the stuff. And Jen Wiles out at Spring Valley, she's kind of heading up the student section for the Wolves Den and the Spring Valley student section. So I said, we need some garb. So she hooked us up tonight. So the Wolf Pack, that's the student section for Spring Valley, and we'll add it to the set. A lot of Spring Valley stuff here. You want to add something to the set, go to basketballnight.com, get a hold of us, and we'd love to add your garb and swag to our stuff.
Coach Marone, we're running out of time, but anything stick out to you tonight?
No, I'll tell you what, we talked about those overtime games. A lot of great matchups tonight, overtime, triple overtime, and things are really heating up. The mid-January to February push is well underway.
So another Friday night in the books in the state of West Virginia. Of course, check the scores all week long. Basketballnight.com. We'll keep you updated. Also on Twitter at @hoops_roundup. James and the crew, Braxton, Marcus, they all do a fantastic job keeping that updated as well. So for everyone behind the scenes and for Rick Marone and James Collier, I'm Ryan Epling. This has been another Basketball Friday Night.
Thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Tune in next Friday for the latest high school basketball action from across the Mountain State. Visit our website at basketballnight.com to find out how you can stay connected with us throughout the week. Until next time, have a great weekend, and thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. The preceding broadcast is a presentation of the Fast Break Sports Network. Copyright 2014. All rights reserved.